It didn't give I guess a countdown again. Oh
You
well.
had to click it.
Oh yeah, I think I said I don't think I clicked it right. Okay, but anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, which now finally has a name. Nick, we decided on this is the name FearFans.
That's correct. And I remember the first time you asked that, I was like, that's a good name. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, it just came to me just out of the blue, and I decided, okay, let's go. We're definitely gonna go with that.
Definitely.
So, anyway, welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, along with my co host, Nick Moulet, as usual. And today we have a guest joining us today, the head of Things Network, Jeremy York.
Hello.
Jeremy, you're our first guest, so welcome.
I'm honored to be your first guest.
Yeah, and we got quite the topic to cover tonight. We decided to look into one of the most terrifying stories of all Stephen King's stories, and it is It. Yeah, sounds like a fairly simple name, but this story is anything. This horror franchise is anything but simple. I consider it to be one of the. I consider this to have one of the most terrifying villains in horror history.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Oh yeah, Pennywise. Especially with the 2017 version where Bill Skarsgård plays the role, he really went the extra mile on that.
Yeah, he did. The way that he came up with the smile on that is really, really creepy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and he's great with it.
Oh yeah, and no effects were used on that, especially when he does that cross eye thing. Like that's all natural.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Like he demonstrated that, I think, on an episode of what was it, Conan? Yeah, he actually demonstrated that. Looked at the camera and did that look. I was like, oh my god, it's for real.
I didn't see that actually. So that's interesting.
Like one of the actors, like on set in the second film, said, "Hey, what effects did you use to make did you do the eye thing?" And he's like, "Oh, you mean this?" And he made the face.
I was actually watching that scene about a half hour ago. I was trying to watch both of the new movies to kind of brush up on it. And we got to that scene where he did that, and then he started painting himself and then did the little dig into his skin. That was one of the last scenes that I saw.
Yeah. Oh man, they would definitely pick the right man for the role, And
yeah,
I mean, I will say this though, Tim Curry will always be memorable as Pennywise, but yeah, Bill Skarsgård, he really took it all the way.
For being a remake, it was very surprisingly good.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, not only has it. Oh yes, hello, Sarah. Hello, thank you for joining us. And not only was this proven to be a worthy remake, it was also a huge financial success. It made, I think it set a new record for, I believe it made the most money out of any horror film. It's the highest grossing horror film of all time now. I think it made over 700 million, I believe.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Oh yeah. And on top of that, it shows, it's like an example of how, like there are some horror films that could strike a huge effect on certain things in the real world. I mean, obviously there is no shape-shifting creature called Pennywise, but this film did strike a heavy blow on the clown industry.
It did.
Yep.
In fact, a lot of people, most people who are afraid of clowns, refer to the original It as the reason they are afraid of clowns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, there's like, man, I mean, the way I could even just, it's even hard to say. I mean, the fact is, like, when the original one, of course, for example, came out in 1990, I mean, I'm sure it really generated that clownophobia for a lot of people who have it. I mean, just imagine, how many people couldn't stand watching it who were afraid of clowns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this movie definitely did not help those who had already had a fear of clowns.
Yeah.
I remember when it first premiered, my dad was watching it, and I tried to watch parts of it. I was either 9 or 10 when it came on. The only scene that I can remember is there towards the end of the second part of the miniseries where they were already in the sewers, and Bill finds his wife's purse. He picks it up and realizes that she's there, and then he takes off running after her, trying to find her and yelling her name. That is the only scene that I can remember actually seeing when it first came out.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. It just demonstrates, man. Like it just demonstrates how, you know, like your past comes back to haunt you. Like that's like really what the second part was. That's one of the main themes about the second part of the miniseries. I mean, a lot of people consider the second part to be like not as good as the first because, and like for any other, there were many reasons why people consider, you know, the first to be superior. But part two actually did demonstrate like how certain fears do not die. You know, like in terms of like how when Beverly returns to her childhood home, which looks like normal at first, but it's like, you know, that's what Pennywise does. He preys on your traumas, your fears, and also can manipulate certain parts of reality, like making that house look like it was still in good shape, and there was like a new new caretaker, a new resident there. But no, it was all Pennywise's work. You know, he just posed as this old elderly woman, and then made it, and just actually then when Pennywise, you know, drove Beverly out of the house, looked and realized, oh, the whole thing's boarded up, completely abandoned. You know, it was never, you know, that's like one of the biggest aspects about Pennywise is that he creates these, you know, he shapeshifts into your fears and also can manipulate reality to really drive fear into you, because that's what Pennywise does. He gets you when you're most afraid, when you're at your weakest. You know, he just breaks you down.
Well, if I should point out too, what some people also fail to realize is that, you know, despite his appearance, you know, really Pennywise is not really a clown at all. It's actually just a shapeless, unknown paranormal being that takes several different forms. And of course, Pennywise is whatever this entity is, that's its favorite form it likes to take shape on.
Yep. Well, in the history of Pennywise, the way that is stated, the shape of a spider is about the closest thing to his actual true form. From where it came from.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest things about Pennywise. Nobody knows what its, you know, actual real form is. It just keeps changing. It just keeps changing himself.
Well, the only time I think that we've ever actually seen, I mean, aside from the supposed spider form, is that when it turns into the deadlights, those POV shots are going through the pipes where it's all these lights and stuff like that. They say that might be the real actual form, which basically you can kind of say Pennywise's true form is really nothing other than a bunch of lights, the deadlights.
The deadlights.
Yeah, that's as close as you could ever see its true form, if you will.
Mm-hmm. That is very true, Nick. And the deadlights, the one thing like that you always want to avoid, you know, like it put some of his victims in like a trance-like state as depicted in both the film versions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, like there's all kinds of terrifying aspects to Pennywise overall. It's just insane.
When you really look into everything that is in it, there are so many real life aspects that are used in such a way, like the whole thing with the whole deadlights. When you go into a mental institution, there's a lot of people that are just staring out into dead space, exactly like the people who are looking at the deadlights.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Like the miniseries, I've always loved, you know, Tim Curry playing the role. I found him both terrifying and on occasion he was like comical. What?
Guess what? I actually have seen it.
Finally, the movie that you guys are talking about that he's actually seen.
All right, then, Brad. Well, we're not gonna crack down on you on this one, then.
No, we'll still crack down on him because it's fun.
That makes me wonder. Wait, that now makes me wonder. If you've seen that, Brad, have you also seen the remake?
Yeah.
Well, now that
There you
begs the
go.
question: which one did he see first?
That's yeah.
Oh yeah, if you saw part 2 first of the new one, yeah, you'd be lost.
Exactly.
Now, as far as the remake goes, it was done. It was done very well. It touched on a lot of things in the book that the miniseries did not.
Yep, that's true.
As classic as the miniseries is, I was always, and I've read the book. It's a long ass book.
It is over 1,000 pages. Actually, it's 1,138, I believe.
Oh
Well,
wow.
let's see.
You really did your research on how many pages, Don. That's amazing.
Hey, what can I say? I love my research, man.
And it also states right here how long it took him to write this book. He started September 9th, 1981, and finished December 28th, 1985.
That
Okay,
sounds about
so
right.
about
Over 4 years he spent on this book.
yeah, 4
Yeah.
years.
And he's been his whole life writing multiple stories at the same time, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, of course it would take him a while because he's working on this along with several other works. Like I believe around the time he was working on another story called The Body, which was then adapted to Stand By Me. I think.
And if
You've
you
seen the
really think
original
about
one.
it, the body is almost kind of like very similar to it because it's about young kids, and it's literally, even though you may not necessarily be able to see it in it, but it's literally a coming of age story.
It is.
It is. It really
Absolutely.
is. Which
Yeah.
it does make sense in a way because the first half is obviously focusing them on as kids, and then the second half is when they're all grown up. So it does definitely makes a lot of sense for like a coming of age story.
In the movies, yes. In the book, it goes back and forth.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's what it does.
Yeah, because the book starts out first chapter in 1957, and then it keeps going back and forth between 1958 and 1985.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very quickly, Brad here said he's seen the original one first back when he was a kid. So now that leads you to the next question. Did you see the remake yet, Brad? Let's see if we can crack him down on this one.
Yeah.
If he hasn't.
If not, you can see the remake on the first part on both HBO Max and Netflix, and part 2 you can see on HBO Max. So,
That's one of
Or
his
you can
favorite
just go and
Stephen
get the
King films.
DVD,
Yep.
or in this case, the Blu-ray.
yep, I got both.
Yep.
Both versions.
That's awesome. I don't have either one.
It's time you went shopping, Nick.
Now, I do want to touch on one thing. Obviously, when you're doing an adaptation from a book, especially a very, very big book, there are going to be some things you leave out, some things that you would have to change. The one disappointment out of all of that for the miniseries is that they left out the part where they went into this trance. The kids, no, the adults did, to discover how it came to the planet. They touched on that in it chapter 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Not quite as detailed as it is in the book, but at least they touched up on that. However, I think they just recently announced that they're doing a prequel TV series that is actually going to touch on how he got there and what happens throughout the course of history leading up to the time of the book.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I would consider seeing that. Yeah, it seems like a lot of TV series. We're getting a lot of prequel kind of TV series now because now we're getting like a prequel series to Game of Thrones. We've got the prequel series now for Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul. So like I feel like TV they're trying to like expand all kinds of storylines. Just to keep all kinds of shows going.
Well, in a way, it makes sense for a lot of stories because
Oh yeah.
like in the case of Stephen King, bam, you're right into it.
Oh yeah,
And
Brad said he's seen the remake, although it's still not his favorite horror film, though.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, he still said it was one of his favorite Stephen King films, though.
there you go.
Yeah. Now, in it does go back into history just a little bit, touching up on what happened in the 1800s, the early 1900s. Like the fire in like a meat shack or something like
Yeah, it
that.
was like the early 1900s, I think that it
Yeah,
occurred.
like 1920,
I thought it
1922.
was earlier than that, like 1918, or I thought it was 1908. I
Oh yeah,
could be wrong.
because yeah, and all those incidents like take place about 27 years apart from each other because
Right.
that's the Pennywise cycle. He always comes back every 27 years,
Yeah.
and 27 seems to is like a huge and like is like one of the biggest aspects about it's just the number 27 because like I said, he comes back every 27 years, but also that Bill Skarsgård, he was 27 years old when he played it in part 1.
Right.
I
And
did
also,
not realize that.
Yeah, he was 27 at that time. So
yeah,
that's why he
also,
had, like, if you look without his makeup, that's why he looked so youthful in appearance. So, yeah, he was only 27 years old when he did it.
Yeah. Also, when the It remake came out, it's been 27 years since the miniseries in 1990.
I believe they intended it to be that way.
That's
Exactly.
what they wanted. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they wanted.
And it makes sense.
It does. Although, ironically enough, in the miniseries, although it's supposed to be every 27 years in the miniseries, they kind of boosted up just a little bit because in the miniseries it's 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, man, I mean, I remember. When did you first see the miniseries, Nick? The 1990 miniseries.
I must have seen it, and this was, of course, long before we had all these, movie watching websites and Netflix and HBO Max.
The stream service.
This was still at the time when YouTube would actually people would upload movies, but at that time though, you couldn't upload like 4 hour videos. Like we're talking pre 2010 here, so like probably I'm probably gonna say it must have been around like 2007, 8 or 9. I must have saw it. I was still in high school, and again, I was able to watch it, but again, back then you can only upload videos as far as 10 minutes long. So I had to watch like part 1 to like probably part 30.
Oh yeah, I remember those early years of YouTube where they could upload movies where it's just like 10 to 15 minutes a piece.
Yeah,
like
and this
parts.
was also long too before YouTube started selling these films as well. You could actually rent or buy.
Yep. This was before the stream services, before Redbox and whatnot. Back when Blockbuster was the main way to watch movies.
And Netflix.
So yeah, but then we obviously Netflix and the stream services proved to be a much more convenient way to watch films. So yeah, that's what inevitably
it is until the internet goes out.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is going to happen at some point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what will cause it. What will cause the internet to become obsolete? I am having a hard time picturing what.
And that's why I got this. Oh, the internet goes out, $500. Here you go.
Well, either way, I remember seeing like I said, I do remember seeing the original miniseries, and I definitely remember it was really scary to watch. So it definitely freaked me out. Although, truth be told, though, and again, I think we can kind of all agree. However, as I neared the end of the film, though, it was just kind of weird seeing him transformed into that giant spider-like creature. I mean, to me, that looked like something out of a 50s B movie at that point.
Yeah, that was incredibly bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just one thing I love most about it is just is Tim Curry's performance. I mean, you could just tell he was having fun with that role, and he was.
How could you not have fun in a role like?
Yeah, and it's just one of the many examples of why Tim Curry has always been an amazing actor. He's started in all kinds of different films, played all kinds of different characters, and this is like one of the biggest ones that he's known for, along with like there's two other films that I know him most from, Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Yeah.
and also when he played the concierge in Home Alone 2, the one who was suspicious of
Yeah.
Kevin. And
that is one of his best performances, because especially after he gets smacked and then he does that little quivering thing. That is so funny to watch.
Oh yeah.
Well, don't forget
And,
too, he was also in an episode, at least one episode of Tales from the Crypt as well, around that same literally like maybe 3 years after he did it. And you know what's, you don't even have to even realize it is him, because at one point he does just that classic kind of like laugh that he makes, like
oh yeah.
I think you can tell it's him.
I think he actually won an Emmy for that, or I
did,
think
because he played literally like 3 different characters in one episode.
That's
and
true.
He was so good at it. I mean, it's just like, and that's still something I'm trying to figure out for the longest time. It's like, you know, how do you do that? You know, you can't just switch to one person. Like, it's like a complete secret. It's like, you look at it, it looks like there's 4 people, but really it's only 2. It's the main character, and then it's Tim Curry.
Oh yeah. I mean, and also one thing I find absolutely hilarious and ironic at the same time in Home Alone 2, when he was the concierge, he went to where he was so suspicious of Kevin, he was going into his room unannounced, because that's totally something a concierge would actually do. That's totally a normal thing. Where Kevin tricks him by having an inflatable clown inside of the shower, making where he sees like the silhouette, where he's like thinking he's singing, and then he gets scared away. So I'm like, okay, you're Pennywise, and now you're showing it's like, come on, you played a killer clown, and now you're just scared away by a blow up in a clown.
I think that was supposed to be like a humorous homage to that. and plus, what I also love about that role too, it's also, as far as I know, one of the few roles where he's so good at it, yet he's not, you know, wearing actually any costumes or any makeup. He's actually like, you could actually see him himself without any makeup or anything on.
Oh, yes. Well, what was really good in terms of his talent is his facial expressions when he does certain roles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You know, he's done that quite often in a lot of films.
Exactly. His expressions on It, spot on. His expressions on Home Alone 2. So funny. Especially in that shower scene that you were talking about. And then later on, when he goes in and Kevin does that whole Angels with Filthy Wings, whatever that movie was.
That was what was that movie? That wasn't the one where he plays the devil, right?
Oh wait, no, Legend.
Is that Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal one?
Oh,
that's where he makes him go, I love you. and then supposedly he had an affair with the other bellhop guy named Cliff.
I just love how he gets really comical and over the top when he really needs to.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder how they even managed to get him on to such a film like that for Home Alone. So, I mean, everything else I can understand, because that's something he would have played, but for just such a rather small role, it just makes you wonder. But I think it's just really because everyone liked him. So he was
in my opinion, I would not consider that a small role. Supporting, yes. Small, no, because every scene that he was in, he literally stole the movie.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
He absolutely did.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that was a small role.
Yeah, supporting role then, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big supporting role. He really was. Yeah, and I should mention, like, also, I know that film for, like, that's that kind of a surprising appearance, along with the other surprising appearance where Kevin just walks past Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe now. It's 30 years ago that movie came out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just looking at Tim Curry, looking at Tim Curry today, I just feel bad that he's hasn't been able to do many films lately. And have you ever heard what happened to him 10 years ago, Nick?
I might have, and you might have to remind me.
Yeah, Tim Curry, 10 years ago, Tim Curry suffered a stroke, which took a heavy toll on his health to the point where he's been confined to a wheelchair since, and he hasn't really been able to do any that much acting work since, aside from voice acting, especially with.
I was going to say
when he was
doing voice acting.
Yeah, he still did voice acting, mostly with as Palpatine in Star Wars Clone Wars, that cartoon.
Yeah, I remember that
No,
show.
that was him.
That
Uh,
was him. Well,
only in later episodes it was. Yeah,
yeah,
they had
Okay.
yeah, I think they had the original actor playing him in the
yeah, they
early
had
seasons.
like some. Yeah, that's what they did. Obviously to pay homage to the Star Wars series, they were trying to bring some of the actors in, and then of course when they became unavailable, they had to bring in other people in. Of course,
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm looking him up right now, um, to see his filmography.
Oh yeah,
Okay, voice roles. Oh man, he did a lot of voice roles.
he's got
he
so many.
does.
I'm actually surprised, even though he doesn't do as much. I mean, while Jeremy's looking, I'm
Yeah.
surprised he hasn't been considered like the modern, like Lon Chaney, if you will, because he played so many roles and he was in different makeup, different costumes. I'm really surprised he wasn't considered like the modern day, as they call Lon Chaney, like the modern day man of a thousand faces, because he was so good at a lot of the roles that he done throughout the decades.
Oh yeah, he's always been one of my favorite British actors to play villains in all kinds of films. Who is I could consider him second to Christopher Lee.
Oh man, it doesn't get any better than Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
He was
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Him and Vincent Price. They were both the quintessential villain for Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Looking on here, the last role that Tim Curry had, voice wise, was 2014.
mhm.
Now I am looking. Oh wait a minute, hold on. There's a lot
I'm also
of television. He is actually. Oh no, he's a narrator for another film that is currently in post production.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
but that should be for voice. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay. Voice will. Oh, all of this is voice. Okay, never mind. So the last one he did was 2017. What I was looking at was television.
let's see.
The last one that he did was 2017, voiceover, and that was in a film called Long Drive Home. And now he's doing another one that's currently in post production. And then there's another one that is currently in production called Dagon.
Dagon.
Dagon. That must be
Dagon?
based on the H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I
It
remember.
says Troll World Chronicles.
Yeah.
That's
And-
the tag on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, Nick, do you remember Nickelodeon? There was that cartoon called The Wild Thornberries.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Nigel Thornberry.
Oh my God. You're serious?
Very.
That was him?
Yep, it was
How
him.
did I not know that all these years ago? Holy cow.
So that was
So
the
he's
first.
basically been part of our childhood too.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever heard Tim Curry's doing a voice performance when I was a kid.
That explains a lot. That really does explain a lot. That's awesome though.
I told you, Nick, he's played all kinds of characters throughout his career.
Oh, we got
Angelo.
We got Angelo from the Philippines. Good to see you, Angelo.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. We were just talking about Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise in the original It miniseries and also his career. So, yeah, we're just getting started, man. So you're joining just in time.
Yeah.
Just
He was also in 2016 on the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Let's Do the Time Warp Again. It was a television film, and his role was called the criminologist.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was in front of the camera for that. And then, as far as actual films go, 2010 was the last true film he was in. I'm guessing that was right before he had the stroke.
Yep.
And then just last year, they released a documentary called Pennywise, the Story of It. And he was in it.
I
That
think I
probably
remember
would have
that.
been for the 20th anniversary, because if it was 2010, that would have been 20 years since the original one came out.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, this one here is 2021.
Oh,
2021.
2021. Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
like
would have been
more like
30
30.
years.
Okay, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
something else.
The 2010 was the last actual film role he had, called Burke and Hare.
Oh yeah.
I remember that film.
Oh yeah, and one thing I do want to bring up about the miniseries is I love the child actors in that. They did an amazing job with their roles. And you should know that this was also an early role for Seth Green
Yes.
when he
Yeah,
played
it was.
Richie. Yeah, when he
Mhm.
played Richie, and then about 7 years after that is when he started doing his role as Scott Evil in Austin Powers, and then he moved on to playing. To this day, he still plays Chris Griffin in Family Guy, and created the hit Adult Swim series Robot Chicken. So,
That's just amazing.
oh yeah,
Seth Green was probably the most successful actor out of all of the child actors out of there.
no doubt he was, and
Yeah.
it's funny because Richie was a character that loved comedy, wanted to grow up doing comedy, and yet that's exactly what his actor who played him did.
So Angela put this up for you, Don.
Oh, yes, it was Tim Curry's It. The first time I saw it, yeah, it was one of the reasons why I got scared of clowns. I remember around 5 years old. I didn't see this.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw. I
Wow.
actually saw this when I was 7, when it was on TV.
It's funny how when you think about it, when it first came, the original series, when it first came out in 1990, it was, despite having a group of child actors, and it wasn't really meant, to be a film for kids, obviously. I mean, I can understand if it was like for teenagers and up, but even though it was more of a mature series, it still pretty much obviously shows from people who were actually, who watched it when it first came out. It was like, regardless of age, kids were watching this film. Even though, like, had it been released as a theatrical film, then it definitely would have been rated R. But because it was on when you broadcast something like that on television, regardless of how violent, how intense it, or whatever the case is, that's making that film more available and giving more people access, especially back then, to see such a film. Because put it this way, this was kind of like one of those films where your friends or your friends' older brothers or sisters may have seen. You may have not. You may have been too young at the time, but you just knew how notorious this was, and then eventually you saw it yourself. And see what everybody else was talking about, because it had to have been in a lot of conversations at that time.
Yep, and when they decided to make this into a TV miniseries, obviously they had to tone like everything from the book way down. Way down.
God. And there's a lot.
But the book they still use questionable language, which would have been appropriate at the time for the 1950s.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. One thing that shocked me when I first saw that film was as far as language was the use of the N-word.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Because it takes place.
It wasn't necessarily considered inappropriate, like it would have been in the 80s.
Exactly, because you have to remember, taking place because just like anything else, taking place in the early 1960s. In this case, like at a time when racial segregation was really still very high before the civil rights movement. Unfortunately, as much as we hate to always look at that kind of stuff, unfortunately, that was just kind of the reality of life from that time.
Yeah. That is the way things were back then. Yeah, it just shows. Yeah, we thankfully we've progressed from that. We've learned to treat our fellow man with respect.
There's another thing that is touched on to the movie that still happens today is that when people are having problems or they're in trouble, you still get other people that just walk on by or drive on by.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There were many disappointing things about the first It movie series. The remake, it is really the best horror film ever made. Yeah, I consider it to be one of the best horror remakes ever made. No question there. They really just amped up, everything about it. The story. They've changed certain things around as far as characters, and also with Pennywise making him have a younger appearance, played by 27-year-old Bill Skarsgård, and just giving him that voice.
Right.
What's the most terrifying clown voice ever, where he's just like, "Oh, you Georgie."
Really quickly,
the remake, it was definitely very surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And Nick knows I am hard on remakes, but it is probably one of the absolute best remakes I've ever seen. as far as the TV, the miniseries, it was disappointing that they did leave some things out of it, but as a whole, I don't consider it a disappointment at all.
No, no, not at all.
I mean, they did the best they could with as far as miniseries go, because remember, this had to be aired on TV, and this is during a time where TV had a lot more limitations than it does today. I mean,
Wow.
there's even today, there's still some things from the book that you cannot get away with in film.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Like, there are still some things that are in the book now that you can't get away with on film.
Yep, definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, like one main thing that I am glad they left out was the sewer orgy scene from the book.
Yes, I remember that.
So glad they did not show that.
That would have been hugely controversial,
Exactly.
whether it was back then or today. Especially today, I mean, you would come under attack immediately. But even back in 1990, that would have generated a lot of controversy.
Yeah, by both families and the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, like I said, kids were watching this film, so that probably would have really disturbed a lot of them. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I was disturbed reading this. I actually read, I don't know if this is true or not, but I read somewhere when they were talking about releasing the original film, the original film, the remake in 2017. Wait, there's so many elements from the book.
Angelo from
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
because I will say this though, I did hear that they were actually considering making a draft, like a cleaner version of that scene. And I'm just like, okay, I don't care how much cleaner it is. It still doesn't change the way I feel about that scene.
Nope.
And you know what I would have done if they actually had that draft? You know what I would have done? I would have taken that draft, shoved it into a paper shredder, burned the paper shreddings, and then put what's left of that in a box, burn that box, and then have what's left of that inside of a missile and launch that missile in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Damn the expense.
or you could just put it in a balloon.
Hey, Don, tell us how you really feel about it.
What?
Tell us how you really feel about it.
Really quick.
I am disgusted beyond words when I first read that from the book. Seriously, I felt like I had to after I read that, felt like I had to wash my eyes out. It was just so horrific.
Yeah. One thing you got to remember when it comes to Stephen King as a writer, he makes everything as real as possible, and something like that, you got to admit that stuff happens.
Yeah.
The orgy scene like that happens. There's another part of the book that I'm personally glad that they left out, was when they started that there were two boys at some point in the middle of the book when they start doing this to each other. It was in the 50s portion of it.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Really quickly, guys, because Don, I wanted to point out, because I've been looking at my personal to check for comments there. First off, Jenny from Ireland's watching.
Oh, hello, Jenny.
Yeah, again, it's that thing, that whole thing. We can't see the comments from here. And then
come over to the Things Network, Jenny, so we can see it.
Josh was also here too. He said earlier, never seen the new one. I like some of the original better. Well, he says I like some of the originals better than his movie versions, for instance. Preferred the original Shining as opposed to his remake. Yeah. He then at one point said, "Wow, you're young. I graduated in '89." And then Josh also pointed something else too, about when we were talking about Tim Curry's health. He said the same thing. Had a massive stroke, and he was also on Will and Grace.
Oh yeah, I think. I haven't watched Will and Grace in a long time, but
she's coming on to the chat.
Okay,
so we could see her.
Oh wait, here. Okay, I read one of the Stephen King's interviews said that he was drunk when he wrote the orgy scene, and still it was published. Oh yeah, that is one of the things about Stephen King. He did go through alcoholism during like the 80s, I think early 90s. But and there was actually a point where some of the books he hardly remembers writing. I mean, Cujo was one of them. He was like, when he was going through alcoholism back then. I think it was like, let's see, the movie came out in 1983, so yeah, it was like sometime in the late 70s, early 80s when he wrote it. But yeah, he had, I don't know, like the alcohol had a lot of effect on him, where he just has memory issues when it comes to writing his stories.
Alcohol, drugs. I just now noticed that we are also streaming onto my personal page.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what it is with StreamYard anymore.
Yeah, StreamYard can be weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot
Brad
of
was asking about Tim Curry being in Clue. Yes, he was in Clue as well.
Yeah, it was.
Very true. Yeah,
and that one was a really unique show because at the very end they showed all of the different endings of that movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's I mean, that's got to be a real challenge, adapting a board game into a film.
Usually, I mean, it's not that
Well,
easy.
they've done it time and time again. They did it with Battleship.
Yeah, and that didn't turn out very well.
Visually, it was good. Visually, it was good. Story
wise.
Not exactly.
But when it came to the visual aspects and the special effects, I thought they did that one really, really good.
Oh yeah. Oh,
now we can see Jenny.
There she is. There she is. What's up,
You're
Jenny?
here.
Don't comment on personal pages. We won't see them.
Yeah, because again, StreamYard is acting weird. I mean, it's a great site to broadcast, but it won't show the comments for some reason.
That's why on Supernatural Talk and 13th Dimension, I stopped streaming it to my page because we'll never see the comments. I'm a here.
I'm a here. Yep, here you are. Rock
another movie that Tim Curry was in that I don't think is well known is a movie called Legend.
Legend.
Yep.
And where he played the devil.
Yes,
he was really good at it too. I mean, it's
that was an early. I think Tom Cruise. Yeah, it's an early Tom Cruise film as well. So.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
He's just played so many roles. It's almost like, even though he doesn't do them as much anymore, it's always hard to keep up with everything that he's done. Especially if you grew up in that era.
Oh yeah.
With the different roles that Tim Curry did, that just shows you the talent that he has, being able to go from being a killer clown all the way to this concierge or whatever he was in a hotel.
In Home Alone
where
2.
he gets scared off by an inflatable clown.
I know. I just can't help but laugh at the irony of that.
I know, but that just goes to show how talented and brilliant he is as an actor.
Nail on the head right there.
Pickle Tom is watching on my personal comment, so he's saying hello.
Come over to the Things Network page.
The Things Network. And same thing too with you, Josh. He's still commenting on my said Clue was a box office film. It's like, well, wait. He said here, yes, I granted access. Oh, wait a minute. He said, yes, I granted access to StreamYard and wouldn't show my name on Jenny's live this weekend.
Huh.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean though. So. And then he just wrote great.
If it's on the personal page, it's not going to matter because it's not going to show up.
Yeah, Josh, it's not going to show up on on the personal page. So just come on to the Things page, and we'll see your comments then. Same thing for you, Tom.
And there was one other child actor that I do remember from It's the 1990 version, the miniseries. There was the girl who played Beverly, Emily Perkins. One of the things that I do remember her from, aside from It, was the Ginger Snaps movies when she played Bridget.
Ginger Snaps. Oh, yeah, there's Tom. Now we got Tom. There he is.
There you are, Tom.
Nickel Tom.
Hey, Tom. But yeah. So and also I just consider Ginger Snaps to be pretty underrated. I, for one, find it to be a great werewolf film that's cleverly using lycanthropy as a metaphor for adolescence and coming of age.
It really is. I mean, it's a great, and I could see why it was a success because obviously, it spawned 2 sequels because it made a lot of money, obviously from the first start, and it's just a really another kind of classic coming of age film. And this time too, again. They weren't using it was still in an era where they weren't really using CGI. They were actually using costume props.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta love the practical stuff.
And Tom also put this down. Let's not forget his work in Oscar and Clue. Yeah, we were just talking about Clue.
We were just talking about Clue, yeah. But
And Annie.
and Annie. Oh yeah, I think he was an Annie. Which version? Because they made so many different versions of Annie, it's insane. They keep remaking that film over and over. It's insane.
How many remakes are there? Oh, the 80s one.
Probably three of them.
Probably won't be long before we start seeing a fourth one. The 80s version, he was Rooster.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think it's starting to come back to me now. But yeah, the miniseries, as far as it is terrifying, it is pretty gruesome, but not as much compared to the 2017 version. That's where they just amplified everything when it comes to the violence. I mean, especially with the opening scene with Georgie, where he was like conversing with him in the sewer, like, and reaching out to get his his paper boat back, just like in the book and in the miniseries. But difference is you actually see what happens. Like, it doesn't just cut away like in the miniseries. Yeah. You see his arm torn off, just like in the book. But in this version, unlike the book, you see where in the book they just find him like with a arm severed off and just looking up and staring up into nothing, completely dead. In the 2017 version, he's pulled into the sewer and like his body's never recovered.
Right.
Well, not only that too, because in the original series, when Pennywise grabs him by the arm, and it shows that scary still shot of that demonic looking face that he has, that's it. That's all you see, and it zooms in. That's all you see. In the remake, you actually see like actual damage done on camera, where basically he has a bloody stump because his hand was completely removed. And that's the thing too. I remember I didn't even notice it at the time when I watched the original one, that when you see that later in the very near end of the film, where they think that the main character thinks he sees Georgie standing there. Yeah. I didn't even notice that he was missing an arm. I just happened to just pay attention to him. So when I saw the remake and when I looked back at the original, I was like, oh yeah, he is missing an arm. I didn't even notice that.
Well, in the beginning of that first film, where it does show the bloody stump, if you're not paying close enough attention, but when they do that overhead shot and they show him crawling towards the middle of the street, you see the arm that's torn off just going into the sewer drain.
Yeah.
And if you blink, you'll miss it. To me, that really accentuates that scene.
Definitely.
Yep. Remix is how much of a big change they make. Like, race changing, I hate race changing. It's like they don't really follow the source material. Well, yeah, no, everybody just got their own different idea of like how to remake things. They'll change like all sorts of things, not just like the way the characters are, but also elements of the story, the setting, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Now what Tom is saying here with Tim being the Mecca, I'm going to agree with him on that about the Mecca. And when they had announced that they were going to remake it, I was scared about that because I wasn't really sure if it was going to be good or bad due to how most of the other remakes were. But like I said before, I was pleasantly surprised at how it came out, and I thought it was done very well. But in my personal opinion, the remake will never replace the classic of the miniseries.
Definitely. I've always said with a lot of films, I mean, not just with it, but with a lot of films, even if they are really good remakes, I've always said nothing will ever beat the original. Oh, yeah. So, and like with remakes too, I mean, it is true. You sometimes see changes. I mean, look, I can even think of another film another good remake, but they too had to make changes, which is like, for example, the remake of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. That's a good example. Like a good example of the changes they made is the first thing they needed to do for that movie was to make the zombies fast. The original Dawn. The original
still
Dawn
my all-time favorite zombie film.
It is, but like with the remake though, the first thing they had to do was to make the zombies fast. The original Dawn of the Dead, they're very slow. So, but either way,
zombies are not supposed to be fast.
They're not supposed to be at all. But that didn't really occur until almost 15 years later with the Return of the Living Dead.
Right. So when they came out with World War Z, that That was just ridiculous.
So I've never even seen it, but I still remember when it came out.
I read the book of World War Z. They distanced themselves from the source material like insanely. Like it had so little to do with the book.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean,
Tom here says there are far too many remakes being done. Hollywood needs to stop the redo and start being more original.
well,
Okay, so I want to touch on that. Yes, I agree. They need to stop doing all the remakes, and especially when it comes to Stephen King. They remade it. Now, I will say I am very, very glad they did the remake with the Shining miniseries.
Yeah.
I am very glad that they did that because that was identical to the book.
Yeah.
In fact, I read the book after watching the miniseries, and I thought the book was written to go with the miniseries. That's how close it was. This is before I knew anything really about Stephen King's career. They have redone Firestarter.
oh yeah,
And, yeah. One Rainbird or whatever the hell that guy's name is, survives. He should not have survived it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They are remaking Christine.
They are. Are you serious?
Christine, the one that
that's what I'm saying. They're remaking. I was going to point out another, which they just made like 2 years after the remake of it. Of course, there was also Pet Sematary that they remaked.
That I liked. The remake of Pet
Sematary. Yeah, it was good though. I will say
that one was okay.
Yeah, that was good too. I liked it. And they're actually, I heard they're now trying to make another film for it, but this time they're actually doing unlike with the original film where they made that sequel in the early 90s, Drew Barrymore should never ever be replaced. Ever.
Nice.
I was gonna say they want to make a prequel to Pet Sematary to kind of actually give off the history of the cemetery, because truth be told,
doing prequels to these movies I'm okay with, because you are not messing with the original story.
No, not at all. Because
with the prequel, you're just adding to it.
Exactly, because that's what I was gonna say was, as even though they made a remake of Pet Sematary in this case, the idea of them making a prequel, because like if you look at the original film, which is still, don't get me wrong, it's still just as great, but we never fully got the actual history or background of information about it, other than maybe a few things here or there, but we never actually fully got a full history story on this place. So making this prequel,
so some things are left to be a mystery.
It could, exactly. But in this case, they want to tell this story. I don't know if it's, understandably though, it's only going to be made for the remake though. I don't know if you'd want to connect with.
There is a remake that I am worried about, is Salem's Lot, because they have already done a remake. Both the original and the remake are both miniseries. So I am guessing that they're trying to do this new Salem's Lot so that they can do a theatrical release.
I heard about that one.
Yeah, but I don't think they should touch that. Now they are making some new Stephen King movies that I'm really excited about.
Yes.
One of them is The Talisman. That was the first book I've ever read, and I have been waiting all this time for that one to be made, and they're finally doing it. And they are also going to be making From a Buick 8,
right?
Which I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I seriously prefer a prequel to Pet Sematary over a sequel. Like I don't think the remake should have a sequel, because in the words of Judd, the main storyline should just stay dead, because in the words of Judd, sometimes dead is better.
That is better.
Yes, that is better.
So really quickly, guys, just again on the personal chat, because we got more people coming in. I'm trying to get them to come out.
Come over to the Things Network page.
Come on.
We got Karma watching. Good to see you. Oh, we've got Matt Benton from Devil's Hour watching us. What's up, Matt? Good to see you. Josh was saying this too earlier. Most Stephen King movies were better originally, but he hated them and redid them. And he also mentioned too, original Carrie was good. And then Josh also said Salem's Lot.
They're doing another remake of Carrie.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. They're making another remake
again.
Then I also heard, although not confirmed yet, that they're doing a remake to the Tommy Knockers.
That's one.
Tommy
I feel like
knockers.
there's better stories that they could remake than Tommy Knockers because that one was just bizarre, very bizarre.
I
Was
just don't know
bizarre,
how
but
that's
it's
gonna.
already got a show. Make a new one. Don't do remake. Make
a remake of a
go
remake.
to his catalog.
They pretty much did that with this.
Yeah.
They've remade this so many times. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is a remake. But I will say this though. I mean, horror movie remakes can be great if they got with changes, if the storytelling and the characters are efficiently well done. Like this is an example of that, and so is this, and so is.
I can't even tell what that one was.
Yeah, it was. It was. Can you? Oh no, I was going to say it was a little bit bright to see. Yep. Now we can see it. Yeah, the remake of The Fly.
And so is this, and my all-time favorite horror remake,
The Thing. Yep.
Yes, my third favorite horror film right here.
Your third?
Yep, third favorite.
Tom said he likes the Donald Sutherland version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, Brad, don't even get me started. Brad,
I saw that.
It's not a King movie, but we need another Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They've been trying to make a sequel to that for a long time.
Last 35 years.
Yeah, they just can't get it off the ground.
The Chidoto brothers have been trying to, but every time they keep trying to get this movie off the ground, it just keeps going back into development hell. So, and they already had a title for it, which they wanted to call it The Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
In 3D.
Yeah, in 3D, that's right.
Again with the 3D. Again with 3D. Jesus.
Yeah, but that was early 90s when they came up with that.
Yeah, because back then they were intending to make a sequel very quickly. Because just like they were basically like a lot of these other horror film franchises, they were hoping that they'd have a film franchise, in this case involving killer clowns, like basically probably, not only just making that one, but making more films like that in the future. But again, such ideas never materialized.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And it's amazing how they got the Dickies to do the song.
Yeah, the Dickies. I have that song on my Halloween.
One of my favorite songs.
I love that.
The music video is hilarious.
And I love how they were using the clown props, not only from the, like they basically like after the movie was all done, it's like they just took all those clown costumes and used it for the music video. I thought that was awesome because you don't really see that very often with a lot of music videos, especially one that's being made for a movie.
Oh yeah,
now, I am a part of a couple of groups that is geared towards the Killer Clowns, and they're coming out with merchandise and everything. Yep. And I also have the guy that did the scoring for the film on my friend list.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Angelo said he's never watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The movie is terrifying to watch, especially how they killed their
watch the movie, you will laugh your ass off. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to be scared. You're going to be laughing.
I mean, overall, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is pretty much a parody, like a kind of like a comical take on the classic 50s monster movies. Like
no. Killer Clowns was actually a parody of The Blob.
The Blob?
Yeah.
Huh. I can kind of see that.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Jenny just asked this question. Wait a second. Is there really a movie of the clowns from outer space?
Yes, Jenny, there is.
It's a thing.
You have not seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Jenny?
Yeah. I think it's available on, let me take a look at this. Hang on.
It's on DVD. It's on Blu-ray. Jenny, look up Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but spell clowns with a K.
Yep. Killer Clowns.
One of your subscribers is watching, saying hello.
Oh, Mr. Nice Guy. Oh, hello, Mr. Nice Guy. How's it going? Yeah, we were just discussing the It miniseries from 1990, and it's a remake, and now we're talking about horror remakes, the good ones and bad.
Yeah.
Wait,
let's go back to It, because Killer Clowns is his own special episode.
Yeah, it is. Now we can see Josh really quickly. Now I can see him.
Let's see. Is it on here still? Hang on 1 second.
Would you guys excuse me just for a quick second? I need to get some more water. I'll be right back. Don, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm actually not too far from that myself.
It's just that, well, because now we have someone else on, that gives me a chance to grab more water. So I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see it. I'm not seeing it here. I guess they took Killer Clowns from Outer Space off of HBO Max.
Really?
Well, it's the first day of the month. They often just add and get rid of things on HBO Max. But good news is both of the It remake and its sequel are still on here. so there's that. But
what I really enjoy, those two movies aside, it okay, Angelo.
Angela, no, okay, hey, it's
I
all right.
really enjoy movies that focus on clowns because I just love clowns, especially killer clowns. Not necessarily the aliens or the clowns with the K, but any kind of clowns.
Right.
I have probably 15 movies in my collection that involves a clown. One of them specifically is just titled Clown, and what it is that this guy takes this suit, he puts it on, and
I know what you're talking
after
about.
a couple hours, he cannot take the wig off. He cannot take the clown nose off. They have become part of his body.
That's right. That movie's called Clown. Yeah, I believe that was started off as a short film, but then was made into a feature film.
Yeah,
I think I know what film. I was gonna say I think I know what that film is because I
see.
think I was just looking at it. Wasn't it that there was that one infamous scene where they're trying to take the nose off of the guy? Wasn't that the same?
Yep.
Because I saw an image like that.
And you may be shocked to know that the director of that, John Watts, is the director of the Spider-Man films with Tom Holland in the MCU.
really?
Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home. That one, best Spider-Man of all time.
Because they had them all in there.
What?
Because they had them all in there.
No, that's one of the reasons.
No,
I really enjoyed how now the Marvel universe is tying in all of the old Marvel movies. Like I just watched the new Doctor Strange movie and really enjoyed how they had Professor X come in.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Multiverse of Madness. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
We
and
saw
I
it
actually,
a few months ago, Don.
Oh yeah, like I actually knew they were going to call this this chapter of the MCU. They were going to call this this era of MCU, the second era, because the first one was Infinity Saga, but now the Multiverse Saga. I actually knew they were going to call it that, Multiverse. Yeah, because now it just opened up a whole new doorway of possibility.
Get Hugh Jackman to come in now.
Yeah, I don't
that
think
would blow everybody's mind if they did.
I think he's officially retired as Wolverine. I mean, Logan was basically his send-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait for Secret Wars. Oh, yeah. I hear Tobey Maguire might reprise his role in that as Spider-Man. That I'm looking forward to, if that's true. Let's see. What was
Thanks for watching, Karma. She was still comment on my personal page. You got to jump. Great show. Thanks, Karma.
Yeah. And
back to it.
Yes, back to it.
Going back to
one from the original miniseries, one that was really devastating was the loss of Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who that is. Jonathan.
He played the younger Bill.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he was the one who I believe he committed suicide at 27.
Yes. Yeah, the one that, ironically enough, another
27.
affiliation with the number 27.
Man, that's freaky.
Yeah. Jonathan Brandis, if you had watched some of the films that he had already been in, he had such a bright future.
He did.
In Hollywood. He could have very easily had been a very highly sought after A-list superstar.
Yeah, he could have been, but from what I've heard, he's had some demons.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's just sad.
It is
sad, and unfortunately, it's also sad to know that as they always say, that he ended up joining what's the so-called 27 club. Like I said, where a lot of well-known stars have died at the age of 27.
Yeah,
fame is a killer. Yeah, it can be.
There's another one. The whole 27 thing with the 27 years, and Bill, what's his name, was 27 when he played it.
Yeah, that's true.
27 is quite the number.
It is.
It definitely is with
Almost
this
like
story.
yeah, I was gonna wait until he was done. It's almost like not necessary, but it almost gives like kind of that sign of almost, if you will, almost like an unlucky number, much like the number 13. It's just like 27 plays in a rather mysterious way.
It
Yeah, it
does.
does. Yep.
So
Oh wait, let's see.
Another loss from that show
Oh.
was John Ritter.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brandon Lee. Yeah, like that's one of the biggest. Well, that's one of the most tragic deaths in of any actor in Hollywood history. I mean, he was killed during production of The Crow. You know, like
Yeah.
from a
Right.
faulty prop gun that fired a round. And I mean, and I hear that the actor who played the actor who had that gun was so devastated, even though it wasn't his fault. He actually took a hiatus from acting after that. I mean, man, I mean,
that was like enough too much for him.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's just horrific that something like that happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so you guys know, Greg is not doing his show tonight. So if you guys want to go over, we can.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'm in no hurry, so that's fine with me.
Oh yeah, I keep a copy of this film as well.
What's that? Can you show that again? I couldn't see it.
The Crow.
Oh, The Crow. The Crow.
The film that killed Brandon Lee. Well, yeah, but it was an amazing film, right, y'all? Just like it's like one of the darkest, most tragic films of all. Oh, I should mention this. I hear that I think this might be. I'm not sure if this is legit, but Bill Skarsgård may be playing Eric Draven in the new Crow remake.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. That would be interesting to see. You know, like he's once again going to be putting him in makeup, but instead of playing a villain, he's playing a vigilante.
Wow.
You know, out to avenge his death, his and his fiance's, his violent murder.
I can see that. Based off of his performance as Pennywise, I can see him being the Crow.
Yeah, I can actually. Definitely. I think it could happen. They could pull it off.
Yeah,
because they've been trying to get that off the ground for so long. They've had so many different people like trying to fill in for the role of Eric Draven. They had I think Mark Wahlberg was at one point considered. Let's see, Jason Momoa was as well. So
no, Jason is far beyond that movie.
Oh yeah,
I would have to agree with Jeremy on that.
Yes, he can play a great Aquaman, but as far as the Crow, I feel kind of iffy about that. He is a good actor. Which one, Mr. Nice Guy? Because we've had mentioned several.
If they wanted to do a movie on the Crow in the later years, they can always go and get Sting for it.
Yeah, I will say this: the Crow first one, loved it, but I did not like the sequels. I will say that. Yeah, like story wise and the characters, especially
Bill, that's what he's talking about.
Oh, Bill Skarsgård. Yep, he is. And it's funny. When I first heard the name Skarsgård, I thought it sounded familiar, and I actually understood why, because his father is Stellan Skarsgård, another actor who I remember seeing him as Jim in Deep Blue Sea, the guy who has his the first victim who has his arm ripped off and then thrown into protective glass, shattering and flooding the whole facility. Also, he played what was his name? He in the MCU, he played the Doctor. I think I have that written.
Yeah, he played a particular.
He was in Thor.
Yeah,
he was.
He started in Thor and then Avengers.
Thor. But there's a third one.
Eric Selvig, that's his name.
Another brother.
Crow Salvation
was good.
If I'm right, I believe Bill has a brother who is also an actor.
Alexander Skarsgård.
Now, this is what Tom said. Honestly, no one else should ever fill those shoes out of respect to Brandon Lee. Just saying, which that's understandable in a way.
Yeah,
Tom, you have a very valid point. But when it comes to Hollywood, nobody cares unless it's about the money.
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's the reality of things. But
believe that. Yeah. And now Tom also said this too. Mark Wahlberg is highly laughable as Eric Draven.
Yeah, I could not see that happening. I mean, Mark Wahlberg or Jason Momoa. Yeah, I didn't see that. No. Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if they're going to have Skarsgård play Eric Draven. Who are they going to get to have play other characters like Shelley, the fiance, and let's see, the and also the little girl. What was her name?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Sarah.
I wasn't sure if you saw this earlier. I showed this. This was also from Tom. And that he actually has a connection of sorts to Brandon Lee. He's friends with the chick that played the little girl, Rochelle Davis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, she did a great job with that role when she played Sarah.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's a business.
It's all about business. They don't care about the personal aspect.
Oh yeah. I mean, what I do respect about filmmakers is ones that take their time to perfect their work. You know, I mean, prime example of that in my book is Quentin Tarantino. He spends plenty of time writing his scripts, perfecting every little detail in his work.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent 10 years writing Inglourious Bastards before finally releasing it in 2009.
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
I love this.
He is one director whose films I have a hard time getting into.
Yeah, there is a couple of them.
Yeah. I mean, but I also heard that he had a set number of how many films of what he wants to do, and once he gets to that set number, he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that I can respect. Yeah, and I hear that Quentin Tarantino's working on one more film, and then he might be retiring.
Which film is that?
I'm trying to remember the name. I didn't look up the name. I just but I do know that he's just writing one more film.
Well, at one time he was going to do a Star Trek one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Can you imagine him doing a Star Trek film?
It's like out of everything, I didn't really expect him to do something like that.
Yeah, he was planning on doing a Star Trek, and I can understand directors wanting to do a different kind of story, but somebody like him, you don't do Star Trek.
Yeah,
that is going to flip the entire franchise in a whole nother world, and you don't do that with Star Trek.
No, you don't.
I mean, well, I'm going to admit to this. I have never really been a fan of Star Trek.
I've watched some of the original series, like from the 60s and early 70s, but other than that, I'm not really too crazy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. It's like, I tried, but for some reason, I just felt like this is just not for me. I don't know. It just doesn't mix with me. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just like, with the exception of like when William Shatner was doing it, that's just basically.
What is Brad saying?
Yeah, what the hell is all this, dude?
I have no idea what
he's talking about either. I wanted to show this.
Yes, Brad.
I was trying to show this earlier. Don, I wanted to show Tom. I was like, going back to the girl, might as well have Carmen from South Park playing the crowd.
Oh man,
it's the crowd throwing down.
But if there's one thing we can all agree with, it's that Bill, like we were saying before, Bill Skarsgård, he was amazing as Pennywise. He was just like very menacing. He was preying on everybody's fears and traumas too. When it comes to Beverly and her abusive father. But in this version, one change that really disturbed me in this remake was Beverly's father being more sexually abusive than physically abusive. I mean, nothing's very that strong as shown, but heavily implied. And I'm just like, and the point where he actually does something, attacks her, but then she bashes his head with the part of that toilet. And right when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, serves you right, you damn sicko.
Exactly.
So it's like just the thought that people like that actually exist in this world. It's just like, my God.
So yeah,
let's compare the actors from the first film to the remake.
Okay.
This one here, they're pretty much about on the same level in their respective ways. Pennywise.
Yes.
The miniseries is your classic It.
Yep.
The remake is probably more closer to the It that Stephen King envisioned.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Definitely.
I can understand people, depending on their taste, picking one or the other, but I believe that both took the character way up high. They both set their own standard. Tim will never match the performance that Bill did, but at the same time, Bill will never match the performance that Tim did.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they've definitely played different, like their own different ideas of like how Pennywise should be in film.
Right.
See,
They
now,
both
Mr.
did
Nice,
it so well.
see now,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Nice Guy I heard there is a chapter 3 they're trying to make. Is that
Isn't
true?
that supposed to be Return to Derry? The
I think so.
prequel?
I don't
It
know.
might be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've actually never have seen part 2 of the remake. I've only seen the first one, so I need to. I know they said the second one wasn't as good as like the first one, but I'm still willing to check it out regardless because I gotta catch up with the story.
Oh yeah, and
But just like in the miniseries, chapter 2 does come to a definitive end.
Yeah,
as far as Pennywise goes.
Yes,
right.
it does.
And now Tom wrote this. Well, considering the original was made for TV, it had limitations on the gore and scare factor. It should have totally been made a movie. He said since it aired. Oh wow.
Okay, here's the thing. When you're doing a very well done horror film or TV miniseries, you don't necessarily have to have the gore for it to be scary. Like my personal preferences, like what it was in Halloween, I prefer the movies that are more cerebral, the ones that really get to you. They don't show much of anything. Halloween, you only saw one sliver of blood, and that was there towards the beginning of the thing where you find the truck driver dead.
Yeah.
That movie, iconic, scary because it made you think. It was extremely suspenseful.
It is. Halloween is my 4th favorite horror film, so
yeah,
I can totally relate to that.
Classic.
Do you have all these horror films?
As a matter of fact, I do. I actually have a list, top 20. You want to see it? Want to see it?
But you don't necessarily have to have gore to be a successful, scary movie.
No, you don't. And like in the early days too, with a lot of horror films, long before gore ever was used, they were able to still make those scaries nonetheless terrifying regardless.
Yep. And here, how do you do this thing where hold on, the share thing? Hang on.
Oh, the share, yeah, just click share.
And it'll be right underneath
screen. Oh, let's see.
Go to window.
Okay. I think I have it on here.
Brad, yes, Darkness Falls, one of my favorite scary movies.
Yeah, I think
guys, I'm having a technical issue right now.
Hang on, how was that showing?
What's going on here?
Yeah, it's not showing up. Whatever you're trying to do.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, nice guy. I'm ready for Halloween Ends as well.
Yep, I'm excited for that too. Like, I did mention I actually recently did a reaction video to the trailer for this, and I actually wondered if this is going to be the end. Do they mean like the end of Michael Myers? And if so, even though it is unlikely, if so, how would they kill Michael? Because they over 4 decades, they have shown them just trying all kinds of different ways to kill him, shooting him, stabbing him, throwing him off of tall heights. None of that has worked. And crushing him. None of that has worked. So what? How would he die in this if they really plan to kill him off?
Halloween Ends, as what they have said, Halloween Ends is the end of their story arc. So, yeah.
I wanted to point this out.
It is the end of the Blumhouse story arc.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to point this out quickly because again, I was freezing up. Yeah, I already heard you said, Jerry. Yeah, Darkness Falls was a great movie too, and that
it is.
You didn't
it was all right.
You didn't like it as much. Darkness Falls.
Darkness Falls. It's like interesting take on the whole lore of Tooth Fairy, making the Tooth Fairy a monster, but I don't know. It's like it was good, but it kind of had its flaws in a few points.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, now Tom's like, gore is not the key factor in a great horror film, and having some helps the story move along better. It is more the psychological factor.
One of my favorite.
Which, it is.
Yeah.
Which, it is actually, it does make sense because, like, when you think about it, and I've actually said this for a couple of years, I've actually been saying this since my days of high school. I've always believed that, psychological terror is probably much more frightening than, something in the closets.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite and like examples of that psychological terror, like where you don't need to have a whole lot of blood and gore to make it good, is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
It's like a lot of people like think that the movie is, obviously it's a terrifying film, but you think with a film called, with the word chainsaw in it, you would expect a lot of gore. Well, in the first film there wasn't much gore, but in the sequels there were. And we're not as effective, and still not as effective as the first film.
Well, I have only seen the original and the original's remake. I've never seen the sequels.
Oh, second one's good.
But I personally did not like Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, really?
To me, it was one of the most disgusting movies I'd ever seen.
That's the thing too, like you just said about with like with Texas Chainsaw, they always say it's like this bloody, gory film. But like, for example, one of the most infamous scenes of the movie, of course, which is still a nasty scene regardless. I cringe each time I watch it, was when that one guy goes into the house to try to look for the friends, who of course are already, there's nobody in, but he hears Leatherface, and then he smacks him with that, and he's like, and then all of a sudden, he just slams the door, and all you just hear is this type of noise. And that was kind of the beauty of Texas Chainsaw, because you don't see what happens in that movie. It happens behind closed doors. So your mind plays to what happens.
Yeah. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the original one, nothing beats it for me. It's my 17th favorite horror film.
We're going to need to do a show where you have to do a whole countdown.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You want to know? Okay. You really want to know? Here.
Well, wait, really quickly, what Jenny said, Don.
This right here, top 20 favorite horror films.
I cannot see it at all. Well, hold on. Actually, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do the full screen. There we go. Yep, there we go. Wow. Here, I'll get rid of this comment. Wow. Oh, you got Wreck on that film. Nice.
I have never heard of Wreck before.
That's a foreign film, actually.
It's Spanish.
Yeah, okay. It was made in Spain, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And almost all of the rest I have seen.
Oh yeah, I mean, all of these are true gems to me. I mean, these are like some of the most iconic horror films ever. I mean, like nothing beats Alien for me. I mean, it's like that's that claustrophobic feeling, the suspense. The suspense, the acting, the storytelling, everything was spot on.
Alien is
said, Don.
Yeah. Oh wait, I was looking up with Leprechaun.
Yeah, because we watch Leprechaun every year around St. Patrick's Day, so I had to bring that up.
The first one and third one were good. Leprechaun 4, I was just like,
it was okay.
It was way too ridiculous for me to take that seriously.
It was literally a parody of nothing more than 2001: A Space Odyssey, Star Wars, of course, because he killed somebody with a damn lightsaber.
Well, you got Leprechaun in space, and then they had Leprechaun in the hood.
In the hood, yeah.
Come on.
But regardless, though, Warwick Davis had a lot of fun playing his character. You could tell he's having fun, like Tim Curry, who would not be having fun playing a character like that.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly think he's
just being like James.
Right. Yeah. Tom Nally, you said I noticed the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, No Evil Dead
on the list, but No Evil Dead. Yes, what Evil Dead is on here.
Oh wait. What number was it again?
Number 8 was Evil Dead.
It's number 8. Okay, Tom. Yeah, it's number 8.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's on here.
Speaking of, they're making a new Willow.
No.
Yeah, they are. He's Warwick Davis is reprising his role from that.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
He's Willow again.
Silence of the Lambs and the rest. She's even got the soundtrack, Jenny said.
Oh.
Silence of the Lambs. I still have not seen that movie.
Really? You
Yeah,
never seen
I have
Silence of the
not
Lambs?
seen that movie yet.
That
The
literally
only-
is like one of the few horror films that actually won an Oscar.
I've seen Hannibal and I've seen Red Dragon, but I have not seen Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, you're missing out.
You need to. You need to. Okay, because it's
I
one
want
of the
to.
best one of the best horror films ever. Has historical significance because it's the first and only horror film to win Best Picture in the Academy Awards.
They actually say
And
it
that's
was.
saying something.
Oh
It
yeah,
is.
and
Oh yeah,
director Eli Roth once said that was one of the top since this other movie I'm about to mention, not really a horror film, but still was just as good. He said it was one of the best films he's seen since One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So
Oh, yeah.
he loved it
That
at
was
the
a big-
time.
yep.
I hadn't seen
Oh,
that one either.
Yeah. What? Silent Lamb, awesome movie. Hold on.
Oh no, I was reading Jenny's. She finds Hannibal
Probably why
romantic,
she's
and that is probably why she's still single. Go figure.
Oh my god.
There's
Jenny. I am so not touching it.
I'm not touching that either.
Just from even saying that, I'm already in trouble with her.
Yeah, there is a sequel, and that's the movie Hannibal. And then Red Dragon
Red
itself is the prequel to both films. And then, of course, let's not forget the television series they made.
Yep. Hannibal. Oh, here. I wanted to get back
There
to
was actually a movie back in
Puts
the
the
80s.
lotion on its
that
skin,
was
or
a
else it gets the hose again.
There was actually a movie back in the 80s. I don't remember what it's called, but it was actually a prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
Manhunter.
Yes.
Yep, Manhunter. That's true.
And although
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter is featured in it, he wasn't played by Anthony Hopkins at that time. He was played by
There was
I
somebody
forgot
else.
who the name of the actor's name who did it, but this was before. You can kind of say this was before Hannibal Lecter became a well-known killer.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, because that came out, I think it was 1986. I think it came out, so about 4 years before Silence of the Lambs did.
Yeah. And yeah, guys, I wanted to get back to the 2017 remake of it because one of the biggest things that really sold this film was the child actors in this. I prefer the child actors in this compared to the original version because I feel like the characters had a lot more depth to them in this version, and actors who played them were just spot on. They were phenomenal.
There was one actor.
Wait, what?
There was one actor
Yeah,
in chapter 2. The one that played Richie Tozer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was SNL actor, right? It was who was he?
I could not stand him in that role. Now the Richie Tozer that they had in the miniseries, great.
Yeah, he was good.
But the one that played the adult in the remake, I do not like him at all.
Oh, Bill Hader?
I was going to say, wasn't it Bill Hader?
Yeah, it was.
It's kind of weird. I have to admit, when I saw him in the trailer, I thought out of everybody, they had to choose Bill Hader because he's more of an SNL guy and plays a lot more comedic films. It's kind of weird to see him like in an actual horror film because anytime I see him, there's always something funny about him.
Yep, he played that iconic character in SNL, Stefan.
Well, I just didn't like how the character was in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like some of the characters, like as adults, they could have done a little bit better. And they had amazing actors playing them as well. I mean, Jessica Chastain as Beverly, that was great. And let's see, James McAvoy playing Bill. I believe it was Bill. Yeah,
he was a really good choice.
Yeah, he was.
And crazy enough, the child actors in the first part of that actually went with some of they actually made those choices. Like Sophia Lillis, who played Beverly in the 2017 version, she wanted Jessica Chastain to play her as an adult, and it happened.
Really?
Yeah, they said that during an interview. They chose who they wanted. Let's see, who else? What was
James
his name?
Ransom was in it. James Ransom was in it. Who
the ones that played Eddie.
Yeah,
the ones that played Eddie, the child and the adult, facially are extremely similar.
That was James Ransom who played him.
That is right.
And what I like about James Ransom in particular is, especially for his role, he's already had, he already had his experience with a couple horror films prior to that, because he was, I think a lot of us remember, we never actually got to know his actual name, but he played the character Deputy So-and-so in both Sinister 1 and 2. So it was nice to see a familiar face in the part 2 of it. So that, in my opinion, they made a good choice with him too.
Yeah. Oh, and Brett does make a good point. Didn't they come out and say the child actors were terrified of the guy that played it on the set because he was terrifying? Yeah, that's
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That's one of the things about this in this version. One of the things that I love about them during production is they never showed the child actors in this. They never saw Bill Skarsgård in the Pennywise like makeup and costume until their character was introduced on the set. Until they were introduced on set.
It's like, that kind of scare factor. Like, and you see this with some horror films in particular, where you try to hide that person, especially when they're not in makeup, because they actually want to scare. You can put it this way: they actually wanted to scare these kids literally on camera, even if it was just one shot. So the idea was to not only scare the audience, but also scare the people on the set. So it's almost like that kind of thing where nobody was safe. Everybody, whether you're in the movie or just watching it, you're terrified.
Yeah, because the most memorable one for me, most memorable scene where the child actor was introduced to Pennywise was in what was his name? Where Eddie, the actor who played him, was Jack Dylan Grazer, who played Eddie, where he was chased by the leper. The homeless guy with leprosy. And when finally revealed Pennywise, he first looks at Pennywise, like that reaction was absolutely genuine. He looked absolutely terrified. So it worked. I'm pretty sure any child would be terrified looking at that clown just saying, "Where you going, Heads? If you live here, you'd be home by now."
Yeah,
come join me now,
that would scare anybody.
Yeah, we all float down there. Yes, we do. And pretty sure that would terrify any child actor. So it worked. It absolutely worked.
The kid that they had playing Henry Bowers in the remake, I felt they were spot on getting him.
Yeah, they were.
He truly did an amazing job playing a sadistic bully in that. I mean,
he did.
Oh,
I would dare say that he was better than the one that played Henry Bowers in the miniseries.
Fellow impressionist. Yes, Tom, that's actually one of many voices I have. I have like dozens and dozens.
This is just one you're hearing. There is a lot more that he could do.
Oh yeah, and with this voice in particular, I have to be careful with it because I don't like doing I was like doing this voice as like a joke to like one of my cousins recently, but I had to stop myself before because my 5-year-old niece was in the room and I didn't want to scare her. The last thing I want to do is terrify children.
Tom has one as well. I know Tom. If you remember, Don, Tom said he does as well. If you remember, he could voice like Morty. For Rick and Morty, you can sometimes do Rick too.
Joshua, are you thinking of Miko?
Yeah, I was going to point this out next. This question that he was asking next.
Yeah, I think he's thinking of Miko. I don't remember him being on Who's the Boss, but Miko was on Full House a lot.
My favorite that I tend to do on live feeds is Billy Bob Thornton as Carl from Sling Blade.
Man.
What's up,
I just saw a
small children.
Queen Blade.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, here, Robin Ryan wants to terrify small children. Like that I don't enjoy doing because I was like playing with some friends on Xbox Live a few years ago around the time when it came out in theaters, and I was doing the voice, just Pennywise, the dancing clown. And also, oh, you're kidding. Okay, good. Because there was one instance where one of my friends had his like a younger brother in the room. He was like 7 years old, and I did that voice not knowing was there. Why would you have your 7-year-old brother in the room when you're playing Call of Duty is beyond me. But so I felt so bad terrifying him that I actually said, okay, here, let me hear. I was like, okay, I want to make this kid feel better. And I asked him, hey, do you like Super Mario Brothers? And he's like, yeah. And I'm just like, it's me, Mario.
Yeah, and his brother Luigi.
Okay, you're thinking of Danny
And that, of course, made the kid laugh. So, yeah, mission accomplished. Yeah, always got to make children laugh.
Joshua, you're thinking of Danny.
Peter Griffin laugh duty.
Wow. Yeah, oh man,
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Cujo. Wait, what's this about?
Yeah,
Cujo?
that's what Josh was asking. Oh, sorry, that's what Josh was asking earlier.
Yeah, his name. Yeah, Danny Pintaro.
Pintaro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just like,
he was on Who's the Boss.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hear that they're actually planning on remaking Cujo, but I just hate the idea that they have for it that I read about. They're planning on like making Cujo into some kind of a cybernetic dog, and I'm just like,
no.
I read that, and I'm just like, don't you freaking dare!
That's
don't
stupid.
even try.
That is so dumb. That is just
just no.
No.
Even Stephen King would be mortified at that one.
Yeah, Stephen King would be embarrassed.
Never do something like that.
I mean, Stephen King has done some bizarre things. You know, he like obviously he's made it perfectly clear he likes bizarre things, but that's something he would.
I would cross his line immediately. Like it's just like, who the hell would be thinking that in their minds? To, like in this case, turn Cujo into like a cybernetic dog instead of having infected with rabies. That just sounds. This is why
instead
ridiculous.
of screwing around with the original classics, you start working on other stories and novels that have not been adapted that a lot of us are waiting on. Like me personally, I am waiting on The Jaunt. I am waiting on that one to be made.
Same people minus Mona, of course. They were actually making a new Who's the Boss. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like Friday the 13th in space. I think Josh.
Jason X.
That is my favorite Friday movie.
Yeah, he likes that movie.
Yeah. I mean,
I enjoy that movie.
I don't think it's terrible by any means. I think it's a nice little take on both mixing horror and sci-fi. You know, I mean, and also it had some pretty memorable Jason kills. I mean, where he dumps the
Cujo in space.
Yeah, Cujo in space. No, you know what? If that happens, we're gonna have to put together like a GoFundMe or
Hollywood producers. If you're watching this show right now, if you put Cujo in space, you are stupid.
That's sacrilege.
We're going to make a petition to make that not happen.
Yes.
Make a GoFundMe for it.
Yeah, a reverse GoFundMe. Instead of making things happen, we make them not happen. We make them not happen.
That right there would make Stephen King say, nope, no more movies ever.
A petition to have it canceled. Yep. Brad agrees.
Yep.
Wow.
And I should mention Stephen King actually did do a cameo in chapter 2 of it.
Look up Brad's ass. Yeah. What about Space? Nope.
No.
You know what?
Okay.
Why not? We've already done Jaws and Tornadoes.
Enough Jaws ripoffs. Enough.
Yeah, seriously.
Enough having
used Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, especially Sci-Fi Channel. They're the biggest culprit when it comes to shark movies now. Terrible shark movies. It's like Pennywise
on Mars. Terrifying, Matt David.
Jesus. But yeah, Nick, you were saying. Yeah, wow. Anyway, you were saying like about shark movies. Yeah, no more two-headed sharks because having sharks with multiple heads does not make it better. Okay, so enough of those sequels.
One thing you definitely have to admit, the audience have a very vivid imagination.
They really do. They really do, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's like people make like all kinds of terrible shark movies and make sequels to it. It's like when they should be thinking just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, no. Oh man, what?
I'm actually
I will say this: I am looking forward to seeing the prequel to it. I am looking forward to that.
Now, did you guys know? I didn't know this because I was just looking up a little bit about it. Chapter 2. Yeah. I guess, and this is probably the first time he's done this in a while. Did you know that Stephen King actually makes a brief cameo appearance in the film?
He does.
Yeah, he plays the shopkeeper. So that's the thing what I love about Stephen King movies is much like the way how like Alfred Hitchcock did with his movies. Stephen King would
I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler on that one, Nick. So in the
I'll
first
forget it.
First bit, with the one. No, I'm sorry. In the second It, chapter 2, where James McAvoy is arguing with his wife, and she is in agreement with the director, saying that they don't like the ending to his book.
Okay.
So they changed it. The producers changed it and all that. You know, he's pretty pissed off about it. Understand? Because it's his story. So he goes into this shop where Stephen King is the shopkeeper, and it's like, hey, you're Bill, aren't you? But yeah, it's like, I read your stories, and he kind of left it at that. Then he goes to get the bike that he wanted to buy, and then he comes back and he tells him, yeah, I read that book. I didn't like the ending.
Oh, jeez.
And I thought, you know, for a role like that, Stephen King probably could not wait to do that, because he's telling a writer himself that he doesn't like the ending.
Right.
Oh my god.
I had to show this confrontation.
I would want to see that.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I will give it to him. Okay, I will.
Float down here.
Yes, Shaggy, you all do float down here.
Can you imagine? Think about this. Think about the dialogue of Scooby-Doo and Pennywise talking to each other.
Oh my god.
You could almost have the same actor doing it.
Guys, Don, you don't know who this is. Shannon Rogers is watching for my personal. What's up, Shannon? Good to see you.
Come over to the network page.
Come over to Things. We can't see you. I can only see you from my personal. Come on to Things so we can show your comments.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick. Speaking of like having, but speaking of having Pennywise appear in different shows. You know that in the upcoming Simpsons Treehouse of Horror this year, they're going to have a story parodying it. So Pennywise.
Yes. I'm actually surprised they haven't done that sooner since the remake came out. Jenny's still here, actually. You know, I got to say this. I mean, like, hey, you know what? Just think about it. You know, all this talk about Pennywise making an appearance on Scooby-Doo hasn't been made yet. We can make it.
Yep, it could. It's like, hey, when you mess around with that, it wouldn't be the first time we made Hanna-Barbera like cartoons into horror, you know, with Banana Split movie. You know, hey, hey, if you could, hey Nick, I mean, if you could do that, I assume anything's possible.
Yeah.
Well, they also did a crossover with Scooby-Doo and Supernatural.
Yeah,
well, they did. Really?
They did.
Yeah.
You didn't know that? Nick, where have you been, man?
Look at this. A Simpsons remake of it called Dope.
Oh.
Actually, you know what? There's a Hindi movie based on it, and it is called Woh, WOH.
I think I remember reading about that.
Yeah. All the characters' names are different, but the premise is still the same.
Oh yeah, Simpsons know everything.
They damn sure do.
I mean, they parodize everything. I mean, the Treehouse of Horror episodes alone have a long history of them parodizing episodes of the Twilight Zone. So,
oh my god, that's been going on for like the last 25 years
from the very beginning.
From the beginning, yeah, even longer than that.
Yeah,
but yeah, the Supernatural and Scooby-Doo, they did it really, really well, and they literally took Scooby-Doo and the gang into a very real life situation. And then towards the end of it, Sam and Dean did something to where they convinced them, okay, all this blood and gore that you just saw for real did not actually happen.
The most terrifying movie they can make now in Hollywood is Cockroaches in Nick's House. Starring me.
I was waiting on a cockroach statement from Brad. I have been waiting all night for that. Thank you, Brad. I've been waiting all night for that.
Here's the thing, Nick. It wouldn't be very original because they've made tons of bad horror films that focus on cockroaches.
Well,
tons of them,
except one good one. That's Creepshow. They're creeping up on.
Well, Let
that was
Brad
good.
handle the script writing because he will make it original.
Oh
Yeah,
God! Oh no, we are not making it this way. They can call it cockdick. I'm not touching that.
No.
Yeah, I'm not touching that
I am
one
not
either.
touching that at
No.
all.
Yeah.
Supernatural is one of the best shows.
Yeah.
Well, at
Yeah,
least we don't
we-
have the giant cockroach shadow from the light tonight. Yeah, it
Hey.
would be terrifying for me. Oh God!
Who
Hey,
else?
Nick?
Who else did we have? I'm
Nick?
going back and looking for the actors.
Okay, and Nick, speaking of cockroach movies, I actually did watch a terrible one years ago called They Crawl, and it had a very surprising actor in it, Mickey Rourke.
Oh my God, Mickey Rourke was in it.
Yeah, it was back. This was back in way back in 2001.
Oh, so that was during his desperate time then.
Yeah,
You
so
want-
but don't watch it.
you want
It's
real-
not worth seeing. But
You want
even though he
real
is in it,
acting,
it's not
there
worth
you
seeing.
go. Okay, this sounds a little bit more pro. Okay, how about Nick Roach? No,
Roach.
no.
It doesn't flow though.
He get an Academy Award.
An Academy Award for a cockroach film. That'll be a first. But
I'm not doing it.
nor would I. Neither would I, Nick. I wanted to mention more about the child actors in 2017. It's the one that really stands out the most for me is where in the first one in 2017, Richie being played by Finn Wolfhard. Yeah, because that was a nice touch because I loved him in Stranger Things, and since Stranger Things where it really gives everybody that sense of like 80s nostalgia, they probably just my guess is they saw that and they were just like, hey, since this version of it takes place in 1989, maybe he can do the same thing in this, give out that 80s
he's involved
nostalgia.
in a lot of 80s.
I thought he did pretty good in that one.
He did.
Yeah,
he was
was
amazing.
in a lot of. You have to remember too. I mean, not only just Stranger Things, but he's also even got a band that covers a lot of 80s songs. I mean, he is literally that kid who wants to live the life of 80s. So I could sure understand why they would bring him in. And it definitely at times does give that Stranger Things feeling to it, almost like as if it was part of the series, even though the two series have no connection to each other whatsoever.
Yeah, and like the way everybody was dressed and the hairstyles, like Henry Bowers had that mullet. That was a popular hairstyle back in the 80s.
Yep.
But and they also poked fun at that in the sequel, where it takes place 27 years later, in the 21st century, and they were telling the adult Henry, "Hey, lose that mullet. It's been 30 years."
Look at this. Jenny said she's about doing a show with
Henry Bowers one, they did very well. The kid that played Belch was identical to the one that was Belch on the first movie.
Yeah.
But the one that really stood out for me was the one that played George Hockstetter. The one that got killed in the first one. He looked like, just his face. He looked like he came straight from the 80s.
He did. Absolutely.
D&D movie coming out. Yeah, and they need to have Eddie Munson, the Hellfire Club, sitting around the table.
No, he hasn't seen that season yet of Stranger Things. No spoilers.
No, I have. Yeah, don't say too much about it.
Yeah, seriously, Nick, you got to catch up, man.
Yeah, I have been. I mean, now that I finally got rid of, now that I'm finally past Shark Week, I could finally get back to focusing on Stranger Things.
All right.
And this is one of your subscribers done.
Oh, here, Billy Mounts. Is this about
he was asking first if he's late?
Late? Oh, yeah. Well, we have been talking for a while about the miniseries, how it compares to the book, and how all that compares to the 2017 version. Just comparing the facts from all of it. And I was talking about the 2017 version, how it takes place in 89, and how Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, gave Stranger Things a nostalgic take to that. So he's like, he's promoting 80s nostalgia. Maybe he can do the same thing in this, and he did. And I just love how they took that same kind of approach in creating 80s nostalgia as Stranger Things did, in terms of the characters, the style of clothing and hair, and also throwing in some pop culture from in several places. Like I remember the first scene where Bill is making that boat for Georgie. there was a poster of Gremlins in the background,
Yep.
and it showed several parts of the where there was the movie theater. There were several different titles of films that were released in 1989, like Lethal Weapon 2 and Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Right. Josh, speaking of nostalgia, Josh posted this. You know you're old when you graduate in 1989. He's never seen Stranger Things, surprisingly.
See it.
You gotta see it. If you're looking for that nostalgic feeling, Josh, Stranger Things is definitely the show for you.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're
it
just
is.
it's for people. Basically, it's for people who were born in the 80s. Like that's who the show hits the hardest. You know, there's like, you know what, today sucks. I want to go back to the 80s, and this is the show that can give us that feeling, like we're traveling back in time.
That's basically what the show is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill's wife in It Chapter 2, I thought she was completely miscast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was crazy about that.
I don't even know who she is, but she just doesn't do it for me. His wife in the miniseries, I thought she was really good.
Yeah, she was great in the miniseries.
Yeah.
And yeah, she played yeah, like especially like, oh man, like that ending.
For Nick, for me, it's a look into what I missed out on. Because I haven't seen the second It movie yet.
You haven't seen, I saw the second It movie in theaters, dude. Like it's been 3 years now, man. You need to
I've had a lot going on. I told you earlier.
So have I, but I made time to see it in theaters anyway.
Well, he's been working on this audiobook series for the last 3 years. That's why.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, guys, tonight you have kept me past bedtime. This is an awesome show tonight. Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah. And I wanted to mention this. So two of the child actors from this actually started a great show on Netflix called "I Am Not Okay with This." It was Sophia Lillis who played Beverly and also
I saw that.
It was Wyatt Olive who played Stan. Both of them did an amazing job in that show. It feels like it's like adapted from the book where the girl played by Sophia is like developing these powers, and great show. But when COVID pandemic started, that is why they're not creating new seasons for the show. Like because of COVID, that destroyed the production. And when I found out about this, I was like, no. Come on, they need to continue this show, and you're just gonna stop it. It's just like gonna completely end on a cliffhanger. Like, really?
It's just like, come on.
There's a lot of shows that end on cliffhangers that you never get the answer to.
Yeah,
well, yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. That was not intended for the show. They wanted to continue it. You know, that's the difference. But now they just can't. I'm like, oh man, I was upset when I heard that they're canceling the show after just one season. So much potential wasted.
Jenny's asking if any of us have seen Black Phone.
I've never heard it.
To see it.
I don't know anything about
it. I got to bring up quickly about one particular show that, it in my opinion, it could have gone for one more season. It was, I don't know if you guys remember that. It ended about about 3-4 years ago. It was a show called Salem, the witches show. That show with the witches that actually takes place like in Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
you guys ever see that show? Or
I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah.
So to make a long story short, it was actually made in response to the success, with the release and also the success of American Horror Story Season 3 Coven. They basically made this kind of like a spin, not necessarily, but almost like a spin-off of AHS Coven, because AHS Coven, while it did focus primarily, like especially the first episode on the Salem witch trials, it was only like bits and pieces of, and we saw other parts of history. So despite being a heavily themed witch show, they didn't really discuss too much of Salem. So in response to that, CW decided to make their own series of it, which it doesn't have any of the actresses from AHS Coven, but it focused primarily on Salem.
Yeah.
But now the show did run for about a good 3 seasons. Unfortunately, and they did this for each season, it was left on a cliffhanger. And I was hoping that, we would see a season 4. Unfortunately, they canceled the show, so we're never going to know what happens. I mean, you're always left with that. And I'm hoping I even said to myself, even if the show runs for one more season, at least we'll finally get some of these answers. But we never did. So that was kind of the real disappointing thing.
Yeah. One show that ended a cliffhanger that seems to never be picked up.
Oh, yeah. Santa
Yeah.
Clarita Diet.
I don't know that one.
And then this is what Jenny said too. Black was about, I can't give too much away, but it's definitely you know what? Actually, now that she said that, I think I know what show she's talking about. And I think she knows what show I'm talking about with Salem.
The one that was really disappointing to me, that a show that had a lot of promise, was called Invasion. And that was the one where they had this hurricane come through, and it's like whatever it is, they take over the bodies, but the people are still kind of conscious about it.
Huh. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like it's really hard to describe. William Fincher, whatever his name is in this TV series. It's called Invasion, and they ended it on a cliffhanger where the last person is finally taken into the water. That's where they get the body invasion thing.
Yeah,
when you go into the water, and the last episode, they take this last person who happens to be William's daughter into the water, and the show just ends right there.
Tom McNicholas is watching, by the way. What's up,
major cliffhanger. I really, really wanted that one to continue on.
Yeah, it's true. Santa Clarita Diet, that Drew Barrymore, and Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, like that's true. That's one of the shows that had a lot going for it, a lot of potential. They could have continued, but they just didn't.
Yeah,
and both of them are Stephen King actors.
Yes, they are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Tom, like I said, Tom McNicholas is on now. Hey, Tom, come over to the Things Network page so we can see your.
Come on over. Let's have a party.
Come on over.
Party over here.
Because we can't see your comments through here. We'll be able to share them if you come on to the Things page.
Yeah.
I suppose I should check my profile page.
Yeah,
see anybody else's comment.
Profile too.
I just got to say this because I was showing this for Tom. For Tom Nally said that he has to be up in like 6 hours, but not wanting to go to bed, just been having beers, watching, commenting.
Okay, we'll get there.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any pickles with you, Tom?
Oh man.
We're gonna name the next one called the Pickle Horror Show.
What is it with you guys in pickles?
Over on the Things Network page, join us. And there he is.
Join us.
Hey, just like what I'm doing with the Things family now. Come join us.
Yeah.
Hey,
I have not seen that.
Join us.
Join us. Oh, wait.
I have not seen 1922.
I've never heard of that one.
It's a newer Stephen King. It comes out of a four novella collection, just like Different Seasons and Four Past Midnight. 1922 is one of those. It's in a big book of 4 stories. If I'm not mistaken, 1922 was in the same book as A Good Marriage and Driver.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to do that. I was trying to type in "join us," and then after that, I
was just getting ready to do that.
What is going on here, man?
That's the thing, Don. If you put anything in the comments, it's going to share to all the networks.
Yeah,
I did not mean to do those comments, the mistypes.
Yeah, I have been doing that quite frequently lately on our shows.
Yeah, I wanted to say before, that show that was canceled after one season with the actors from It, I'm Not Okay With This on Netflix. Yeah, like I was saying, so much potential wasted, and especially after they paid homage to the ending of Carrie. The whole covered in blood, the carnage, all that. It's like, come on, you could have just done so much more.
The
You know,
day the
I
earth stood still.
hate it when they end shows like that. Hate that.
No, nothing from Tom. He's just
Yeah.
saying something.
Nothing.
And the problem is, you know, a lot of these shows, they will have a lot of promise to it, but if they don't get the ratings on it, then they're just not going to do it, no matter how much potential it has.
Yeah, but it was a popular show.
Unfortunately,
So
yeah.
many people were talking about it for weeks, months even.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just kind of like with even like I said, like a show like Salem, because a lot of us who knew about the show, we were talking about it for the longest time, and it lasted again, you know, at least for 3 seasons. But you know, we really wanted more, and then eventually it just all came to an end, which you know which was really unfortunate because we really were expecting a lot more coming out of that.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more from Swamp Thing. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember Swamp Thing.
No.
What?
The message from Tom was a pickle.
What'd you just
Rick.
say? Who just said no?
I said
Wait,
no.
what?
Okay.
I have not seen Swamp Man. Swamp Thing, yes. Swamp Man, no.
No, so I said Swamp Thing. What are you talking about?
I think that's what. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's what I thought you were saying.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Don.
Okay.
Scariest movie of all time.
Good question. That's a good question. Well,
There's a lot
as far
of
as like found footage horror films, scariest one in my book is Wreck.
Yeah, like you said about that movie Wreck. I remember you showed that to me for the first time. That was,
Here, this is what it looks like,
creepy as hell.
Jeremy. This one super terrifying. Like really makes you feel like you're actually there, like trapped with everybody in the apartment complex while a deadly virus is going through.
Bridges of Madison County.
So yeah, I will say this, Jeremy. Wreck is definitely worth seeing. I consider it more terrifying than Paranormal Activity, more terrifying than Blair Witch Project.
Because it's definitely something that's very likely to happen.
What?
Neither one of those two movies was scary to me at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Paranormal Activity?
Yeah, a lot of people are terrified by that film.
The only thing, well, for me, the only thing that would kind of make me jump would be the very end where her face morphs into that demon.
Yeah, that is
Toby. Yeah.
Yeah, but everything else in there, I lived that. So that's not scary.
Signs, even though it wasn't gory. And
yeah,
again,
Signs was excellent.
It was good, but it was good. But the ending has a very gaping plot hole.
Oh, yeah, the ending was a little ridiculous involving the alien.
It had an excellent build up, but the ending is what killed it for me because they finally revealed what the alien's weakness was, and it was water, which explains why there are no UFO sightings around lakes. But it brings one serious question, though. Why would the aliens invade a planet that is primarily made of an element that will kill them? I mean, how do you not know there's water on this planet? You can clearly tell, like, over 80%, like about 80% of the Earth is covered in water. You can see it from space.
Yeah,
so they might have wanted the resources in the mountains.
Yeah, they got it too up in the mountains with all. Yeah, because like when you think about it too, it's not even just the oceans and lakes you got to worry about. If it rains, if it snows, if it's sleet, that's all water coming down.
Yeah, and that's another thing. What if it rained though? These aliens.
That's what I'm asking. Like, what if it rains? Then what?
That's what I would thought.
Which one is a better Richie, Seth Green or Finn Wolfhard? Oh, that's
I don't know. That's a great question. Both of them were good. Yeah, but it's hard to. That one's hard to answer. I mean, I love Seth Green. I love Finn Wolfhard. Both of them were excellent child actors, but yeah, they just both really take the cake when it comes to playing Richie. They were both great.
Yeah, they were both very good. The adult actor for Richie in the original was very good. I did not like the adult actor in the remake.
Yeah, the twist of signs makes literally no sense.
Yeah, I mean that had just one of the biggest gaping plot holes in movie history.
Blair Witch wasn't scary. However, he will be going to do a video of the filming locations sometime in the fall for his channel. And yes, and Tom, so I could tell everybody this, it is on YouTube.com/This Is Tom's World.
Oh, here. We were just talking about that earlier, Billy.
Yeah, we did.
Remove the infamous
They,
source.
they didn't remove it from the book. They just did it, not do it in the movies.
That's what he's
No.
saying. He's not saying removed it from the book. He's just saying they removed that part of the film, which would have been adapted from the book, which they
Right.
they didn't do that. And I was saying to these guys earlier, Billy, that I read somewhere that they were actually planning to adapt a clean, kind of somewhat cleaner version of that scene into the film. And I said, I wish I knew where that draft of that was, so I can put it through a paper shredder, burn those shreddings, and then pull what's left of that inside of a box, burn that box, and puts what's left of that inside of a missile, and then have that missile launched into the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Damn the expense. It'll be well worth it. Well worth it.
And at that point, that's where I ask him to tell us how he really feels about it.
That's how much I hate that. That's how much I hate the
an
idea.
early episode of Tales from the Dark.
If they were to adapt that, even a clean
Good night,
version into the movie, good night, Brad. If they were to adapt that, even as a clean version into the movie, and also adapt the part where I was talking about with the two boys, the MPAA would not have allowed them.
No, never.
No, not at all. No way.
Yeah.
There's no way they could. Yeah, it's just not possible. It's like there are some things that you should never adapt from novels. I've seen all kinds of things from Stephen King books that should never be adapted to film, ever.
Yeah,
definitely not. No way.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few disturbing aspects from Pet Sematary, such as where what was his name when Gage was brought back and was like cursing at and is making all these explicit comments about Judd's wife. I'm thinking, that would just be
that's just messed
up. It's like you're out of your mind if you think that's any way for a child actor to talk. Yeah, there's no way.
As I always say with some of those things, that was just back in the days when it was considered okay.
For that, you can always have an adult actor mimicking a child's voice.
That is true.
Yeah, that is true. But like the depiction alone would be considered disturbing for many people.
Yeah,
like, he's still kind of lip syncing though to what the voice actor is saying, regardless, though.
Right.
But
at the same time, you got to remember, this is Stephen King. He is going to make it as realistic as possible.
Oh yeah, I will say this: there are a few things from Salem's Lot that I don't want adapted into the remake that they're working on. Like, I think the whole idea of the baby being abused by the mother who was oh man, like I find that's the one that's way too upsetting for me. There's no way I would be able to watch that film if it had that in there. No way.
Right.
You probably don't want to read the book that I started writing a few years ago.
Oh.
Okay, because mine actually involves the accidental murder of a child.
Yeah, Billy, we were talking about it earlier. They're doing a remake of Christine.
Yeah. Christine, you don't touch perfection.
Yes, exactly.
No, you don't.
Yeah, this is probably the second thing that would be remade by something directed by John Carpenter. The first thing, because they remade this before, and it was a mess, an absolute mess.
Billy was asking this too. We were briefly talking about what did you think of the remake of Firestarter?
I wasn't a fan of it, and also I felt very iffy when I first heard about it, especially where Zac Efron was playing the dad. I'm like, that is a very odd choice. I mean, it's like Zac Efron has been a great actor in the past, but him as in a Stephen King film, that's odd. Yeah.
See, now Tom says that when he goes out, he says in the wooded areas of the filming locations of the Blair Witch, there are still those stick figures hanging.
I've read about that.
I've heard that, and I'm just gonna tell Tom this. If we don't hear from you within a week or so, we'll send someone out to see if we can find that footage, and we'll make it into the remake of the Blair Witch Project. If you can in advance, just throw 10% back to the Things Network so we can get the budget running.
I mean, technology today makes it harder for people to get lost in the woods these days. So
yeah, it is.
Oh, here.
The remake was horrible.
Yes,
yeah,
spot on. I hated it when I first saw it in theaters with my dad back in 2005. I hated it then, still hate it now.
Jenny,
this is Stephen King short.
The answer to your question, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting people. Oh yeah, definitely. You know, they
Yeah,
introduced.
because like when you think about it, even though
Oh, and
like a
don't
lot of times.
screenshot it. Okay, click.
Yeah. But, I mean, Scooby-Doo
Well, I
did
was gonna say, when you think about it, even though a lot of times when they encounter like these monsters that later turn out to be nothing more than guys in costume, it
yeah.
really is still kind of the show where they are, investigating dark places and certain things that they need to investigate with. And honestly, I think it also kind of may have been somewhat of an inspiration for like the slasher films. A bunch of kids get together, go somewhere and they are attacked by a lunatic or something like that. So I definitely think Scooby Doo has not only a part in the paranormal interest, but even the slasher craze.
Yeah, I mean, not only it introduced kids to the paranormal, and also taught them deductive reasoning. So
Yeah,
so it did
And,
have.
and
It did
Scooby
have
also shows that it's the humans who are the real monsters.
exactly. Yes.
Yep. Okay, yeah, he is right. Billy is absolutely right. Not just the Fog remake, but Rob Zombie's Halloween. I did not like the remake of Halloween.
There's a lot of people who said they liked the remake.
I didn't.
The-
They probably liked it because
The
of how.
remake of Halloween, I liked how he did. I liked that he was doing a prequel aspect to it, but at the same time, in doing so, he humanized Michael, which is a
Yes.
no-no to me.
Big
And
no.
then he just went way overboard on the gore and the vulgarity in that movie.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's like not even. I do like how they kind of. I somewhat like how they brought back Danielle Harris. Yeah, like that. That's the only positive thing I have for it. But I just hated how they made Michael like human, because that's the thing. Because let me explain something to you. Michael Myers, when John Carpenter created Michael Myers, he did not want him to be just this typical, your average, ordinary, everyday slasher that you see in horror
killer.
films. No, he wanted him to be the personification of pure evil. He wanted him to have like no humanity within him. That's like what the mask represents: the whiteness, the blankness, completely devoid of emotion, of any sort of like humanity to him. He wanted to be
And
pure
pure evil
personification of
does
evil.
not speak, which he did at the end of Halloween too.
Yes, I hated that. And, it's just, man, it's ridiculous.
Scooby Doo did have a part in the Paranormal Uprising. They also keyed the. Oh wait, I was reading. Hold on. They also keyed out the uprising of the skeptics as well, and the thought that there was always a hoax behind it all.
The thing is, he is not wrong.
He's not wrong at all.
He is not wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
right.
it really kind of gives that feeling like, not everything that you encounter, of course, is paranormal, obviously. And, yes, in later films and series, we did see, real monsters involved. But for the most part, it really kind of shows that a lot of this paranormal stuff, unless you're able to record it or actually identify it, a lot of it can be debunked. So that's kind of like what the show kind of plays that role. It's not everything you encounter is supernatural.
Right.
Yeah, now this.
Speaking of Rob Zombie, if you saw that, yeah, I was going to make a reaction video to that, but yeah, I wouldn't have that much good things to say about it.
Yeah.
For the monsters, I am going to wait and reserve judgment until I actually see the movie, because
I'm thinking about doing the same thing too.
You cannot really truly judge a movie based on its trailer.
Yeah, you got to wait until the actual movie comes out. So and growing up as a as a fan and growing up with the original Monsters series from the 60s, I kind of have to wait on that too until I actually see it.
Yeah. But the whole thing with what he's doing with the monsters, from how I'm seeing it, is that it is basically a prequel to the original series.
Right.
That's how I'm perceiving it based on what he did.
I will give credit, though, at least for Rob Zombie. This is probably, I think, his very first movie because all his movies have always been rated R. I think this is his very first PG rated movie ever.
No, I think about it.
I was personally surprised because I was scared of what he was going to do with monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool too. It's just nice to know that they still broadcast the monsters also on MeTV. So they're still broadcasting the original series to this day.
Yeah, that and Addams Family.
And which the funny thing is, the Monsters was made to rival the success of the Addams Family.
Oh yeah, and I actually did like the ones from the 90s. The first two movies anyway.
I still prefer the original series because again, it's original.
The Addams Family.
The Addams Family. Yeah, I still
Well-
prefer that, but the remakes are they're okay to me, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Christopher
that's just
Lloyd
me,
is
though.
probably the only real good thing about those films.
oh yeah.
And the Three Stooges too. Yes, and Tom Nally just posted this.
Classic.
Tom Nally,
I like
I
the
did not
Three
even think Tom
Stooges
would know
movie.
this. And also Sven Gulli.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
The one that played Curly in the Three Stooges movie, he was spot on his whoop whoop and how he looked. He looked exactly like the original Curly.
They
Right?
did. But I will say this for as far as the one thing that I hated the most, that I really hated about the Three Stooges movie, the reboot that they did, that they threw in Jersey Shore, and I'm just like, really?
Yeah, I know.
That was
You know what?
stupid.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We saw that movie in theaters, but we didn't just want to see it because we were always Three Stooges fans, but it was also the very last movie that my grandfather saw it, theatrically before he passed away. So we thought this would kind of bring back, even if no matter how good or bad it would have been, we decided to bring him over to see it anyway to kind of bring back memories. Because believe it or not, he actually did meet the Three Stooges back in 1945. So this was, nearly during the height and near the end of World War II, as well as, this was still when Curly was actually part of the group. So he worked at a local drugstore at that time. And this was unlike where you see celebrities nowadays where they always have security with them.
Yeah.
Back then, they didn't really have any of that. So he would just be pulling something out in Chicago. And all of a sudden, here they come walking down the street.
Yeah.
Too bad that there were no photographs taken. But again, this was it. This was still at a time before you could, take a normal like a picture with a little camera back then. So he was able to see them.
Yep, it's nice to see that Billy agrees with me about them.
Yeah, it was
Jersey Shore, a dumb move. Oh, yeah, he says hated
yeah.
Jersey Shore.
I never liked Jersey Shore.
I
And
have
also-
never watched Jersey Shore, and I
Don't.
have no inclination of watching
I
that.
don't.
No.
The only
And
thing
when I
I've ever
heard-
watched
and when I heard-
in association with Jersey Shore is that South Park episode where they made fun of them. As they say, it's just a Jersey thing.
Yeah, and hey Nick,
Yeah.
Snortle rant smush smush.
oh, that was the best.
Oh my God.
I want to go back. I want to go back to an earlier question. I don't even remember who asked it, but your scariest movie you've ever seen. I got 3 of them: The Ring, The Grudge, and The Woman in Black.
Oh yeah, The Ring was pretty scary. Yeah.
What was the third
Yeah,
one?
The Woman in Black.
Yeah, The Woman in Black was another one.
that was.
Who's Things Network right now commenting? I'm just wondering.
It could be anybody.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention one last thing about Jersey Shore. I heard that they were bringing that show back, and the moment I heard
no.
and the moment I heard that news, I was just like, and yep, there goes my faith in all mankind.
Yeah, do they really want their viewers to become even more stupid than they already are?
Yeah,
You know what?
I
They
literally,
just simply will tell you. It's just a Jersey thing. You just got to be in Jersey to get it.
I only watched this one episode, and the whole time I watched it, I seriously felt my brain cells dying. Seriously.
That's why I won't watch it. I've seen the premise.
Jenny.
No. Oh, Jenny. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The Ring. Yeah, the way that they look at the Samara gets him. That gets me. The Grudge. What really got me. Not aside from the girl in that look on her face. That's scary enough.
Yeah.
Is when they had her in the stairwell of, I think it was an office building. No, not her, but a previous worker, and her jaw is gone, and that tongue is just.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was disturbing, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I still remember seeing that back when I was in middle school. Don, this might have even before I met you. I was at a sleepover with an old old friend of mine, and
Yeah.
it was one of those sleepovers where we were camping. We were camping in the family room with a tent, and we
Right.
had the TV right in front, and we started watching. And we're trying to think of what we're gonna do, and we're like, let's watch The Ring because I haven't seen that movie. And when it got to that scene, that I did not expect that to
No,
happen.
that was
It
in The Grudge.
scared the living shit out of me. It was
That
so.
one was The Grudge. Are you talking about the one with the jaw missing in it?
Oh wait, I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
the Ring. Well, both movies depict missing jaws.
Yeah.
apparently.
And on The Woman in Black, what really got me is where Daniel Radcliffe is looking out the window, and it is a stormy night, and all of a sudden you see this form just very slowly rising up out of the mud,
Yep.
and then it starts walking towards you, and then all of a sudden he turns his head, and there's that kid screaming in his face.
I remember that. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, did you know that? Because I've actually seen it myself, and correct me if I've told you this before. Did you know that The Woman in Black is actually based on a play? Did you know about that?
I didn't.
So, believe it or not, everybody's already familiar with now 10 years ago the remake. I mean, the Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe.
Right.
Well, believe it or not, in 1989, there actually was a television film that was made also on that story. Of course, since so many years have passed, a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that television, this television version. This one with Daniel Radcliffe, it's not a remake. It's not a remake of this original 80s film. But before that, too, it also was a play. And then, of course, also was that it was written as a book. I think the original book came out in 1981. I could be wrong on that. I know it was somewhere in the 80s. I've actually seen the play of Woman in Black. And in my opinion, the play was, I think, a lot more creepier because you don't really see this many plays like this. But one other huge difference compared to the film and this play version is that the Woman in Black play it's notorious for having an extremely
The movie itself, Tom, is scary. Daniel, no. But the movie itself, yes.
But the one thing I've noticed, though, is that what makes the play more notorious is that it has an extremely small cast. There's literally only 2 people in the entire. I mean, there's the third if you want to count the Woman in Black. But as far as characters go, there's only 2 people in the play. That's it.
When you think about plays being adapted into movies, there is one that I would love to see, and that is the Ghost Brothers of Darkland County.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be. I mean, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I remember way back when I was in my early years of studying film. I remember being introduced to my first PG-13 film, which was a horror. It was a horror themed kind of a play adapted to film, and it was Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
That was my first PG-13 movie.
Can I also say one thing, by the way, quickly about when we were talking about when you mentioned about The Grudge, Jeremy? I think I might. Don, you know the story all too well. I still remember when the Grudge came out in theaters, and it was one of my last times I actually went to go see a movie with my parents because I was like 12 years old at the time. So I was 11. So this was one of my last times I was going to see a movie with my dad because, I was almost 13. They were going to let me start going to movies on my own. So we went to go see The Grudge, right? And I'm sure you remember.
That's the one to end it on.
I've only seen Daniel Radcliffe in comedy shows and movies after he was done with Harry Potter. And yes,
Daniel Radcliffe is funny in The Lost City.
Yeah, he is. Wasn't a fan of Saw or any of the sequels. Thoughts?
Yeah,
Hold that
Saw.
thought just for a second. I was trying to say, yes, Bill.
Yep,
this
true.
was I went to go see it, and if you remember, Jeremy, that one scene, it was obviously it was the opening scene. Like after when the woman goes up and climbs into the attic and sees that woman's face.
Yeah,
she is the one with the missing jaw.
Yeah, she is. Right. But when I saw it, though, I didn't actually get through the entire movie because the last scene I remember seeing was the scene when Sarah Michelle Gellar's character comes up and now sees the closet all taped up and she starts hearing the meows. I'm like, okay, I think I've had enough.
That's right.
So, and then we ended up
bottom
seeing
of that closet where they find the jaw, and that is when you
Eventually.
realize, oh shit, where's the rest of the body at? Because it's not in the attic. But then a little bit later in the movie, that's
Yeah.
where that's where
yeah,
she
that's
comes
when you, and I didn't know about that until a couple years later because it was just too scary for me. We actually, because we were already at the theater, we already paid to see a movie. We had to go see a different movie, so we ended up going to see.
What?
We ended up going to see the movie The Polar Express instead.
Okay, well, hey, not a bad alternative. I mean, I do like
Yeah.
Polar Express. And
What's my
one
most
thing I want.
shocking horrors is the one with Rick
Wait,
Moranis.
wait, hang on.
Yeah, that's what I was answering his question.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar. She was always been a great actress. You know, I know what you did last summer, but I absolutely loved her in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
She was good.
Yeah, she was amazing in that. And hey, speaking of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Nick, everybody says on YouTube, I get comments like this all the friggin' time. Like everyone on there says that I look like one of the actors in that David Boreanaz, who played Angel. But
Billy, they say there's two movies called The Grudge. Yeah, I'm talking about the American version, which I should know because I don't think not too many people realize this. When you think about the Japanese and American one, especially with the American version, The Grudge was actually the American version of The Grudge was actually the first movie of its kind to have the same director who did the Japanese version also do the American version.
Right.
So what a lot of people don't realize is that the other movie that is called The Grudge, that is not a reboot, remake, nothing of that.
No.
That is actually in the same universe of the original Grudge series, and it is running concurrent of the original Grudge.
Yeah. Oh, and Mr. Nice Guy,
like Al Sparks. That's what Josh said.
Here, Mr. Nice Guy is right. She's in the movie, and I like how they featured her along with Freddie Prinze Jr. after they started together in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know.
So
that was pretty cool.
And then they got married.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And then of course she was also in Scream 2, if I'm correct, right?
Yep. Scream 2. Yeah, she was stabbed and thrown off a balcony.
Yeah. There's also the 2020 American Grudge version too.
I hated that one. It was
I never saw it.
American Grudge?
Yeah. I didn't really hear too much about it though.
Yeah. Well, believe me, Nick, it's for good reason, man.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm familiar with
Good. Keep it that way.
That came out just a couple of years ago, but not American Grudge.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're not familiar with it? Good. Keep it that way.
I'll take your word for it. Nick, what are your scariest movie?
Well, I'm trying to think of a couple of them, but I can't start off with this, and I probably have mentioned this one to you guys before. One of the scariest for me, undoubtedly, was Sinister. Oh, you guys, you know that film, Don. You know that film, Jeremy?
Yes.
I have not seen it.
Oh, that movie. Yeah. Oh, man, it is such an unsettling film. And now almost, 10 years ago.
Is that the one where the demon or ghost or whatever it is, it's got really dirty, wet hair?
Yeah, well, it's more of a pagan.
Yeah,
it's a pagan. It's actually a pagan deity, not really a demon, but it's a deity that goes by the name of Bagul. And it was it stars Ethan Hawke in it, and he watches the murders of 5 different families, all captured on these 8mm, 16mm home movie cameras.
So is this like a found footage?
It's like found footage, but it's not like a full. It's not like a full found footage movie like Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch. Basically, it's about Ethan Hawke playing in a writer who he already had made a book about about a murder or something like that, and he ends up moving into a house where a family was brutally murdered. In the opening scene, in 16mm footage, you see an entire family basically bound up with bags over their heads, and they're hung, executed. But you don't see who's doing the murder. you just see like a long blade of something. It cuts down, and then it strings them up, and it strangles them.
Yeah.
So he ends up, checking out the house. He goes up into the attic, and he finds a box of what looks like a couple different home movies. Like, it's different decades, beginning with the 1960s. And he looks at the films, and the films at first look like they're, simple, everyday family-oriented home movies like you would see from that era.
Oh.
But then all of a sudden, the film would recollect, and it would show the families in these horrific situations, and they're like brutally murdered. Like the one including I told you about. They all have like innocent names to them. Like there's like Pool Party 66, Barbecue 79, Lawnmower 86, Sleepy Time 98, and the one from the hanging one is called I think it's like Family Hanging Time 11. So, and it's them like all like getting killed in different fashions. And what's creepy about it is because it's being shot on like 16 millimeter footage, that footage is silent. You don't hear what's going on. You just only see what's happening. So it's very eerie to see, 16 millimeter film running and that you don't even hear the suffering of all these people. You're just only watching what's happening. And on occasional times on some of the footage, you sometimes see, even though you don't see the killer, you do see that entity kind of observing what's going on. So it kind of gives like that connection, like, you just question yourself, what is this thing? Yeah. So it's a creepy film though.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Nesca was mentioning right here The Purge. I remember when we saw it in theaters, man, with all the guys.
Yeah. Oh my God. I still remember that. And it was like such an unusual reaction to what we saw with The Purge. Like, and it's very rare that you see this in movies nowadays. Certain moments when people were in trouble and all of a sudden they're saved or whatever the case is, we actually had people clapping in the theater. And you don't see that very often in theaters nowadays.
Yeah, and the thing is, they try to play that off as something that that could possibly happen in the near future, and I'm just like, no, I'm not buying that. It's like,
it's like people that were trying to set that up.
Well, here. When I saw the first film, I walked out just thinking, okay, like you give people just 12 hours out of a year to just go around, committing murder and whatever. Okay, so you give them that 12 hours. So like it's supposed like there's gonna be some sort of an honor system. Okay, here's the thing. Say you introduce this to 12 hours of doing whatever. After that 12 hours is up, do you really think everyone's just gonna stop doing it? Do you really think they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, it's been 12 hours. I'm done killing for now. Like, come on, I don't buy it.
And all is forgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna. Honestly,
no, that would.
I don't think
you're
going to stop that.
Yeah, whatever they're trying to accomplish in the Purge, they're trying to accomplish in the Purge, it won't work. I just know that for a fact.
I don't think after 12 hours it's going to stop. It'll get completely out of control.
It'll be utter chaos.
I do want to bring up a movie that Tom mentioned, The Exorcist.
Yeah, let's see where.
I've seen a lot of horror movies. But there are still a lot of horror movies that I have not seen. But The Exorcist is that one rare movie that I have never seen where the movie starts out, it's, just a regular movie, drama, whatnot. And then it just keeps building and building and building all throughout that movie right up to the very end that you just don't see in movies.
No,
you
don't.
Building that scare factor.
It does.
More and more and more and more. Each one is scarier than the previous situation.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention that it became hugely controversial because people were just offended by the fact that a girl was like cursing among other things.
Yeah, I know, which was very unusual at that
very
time.
Disturbing, which I understandably was disturbing, but people take on all the heights when it comes to content.
The part that gets me more than any other in that movie is that spider walk.
Oh
yeah, that's
creepy.
Yeah.
Josh Dickerson mentioned Haunting in Connecticut. Remember when I don't know if you were you there for that, Nick, when I had
No, I wasn't. That was back in 2009.
Okay, yeah, because I was invited to an early screening for that after I like signed some kind of I signed like a paper for like to win a chance for an early screening, and when we were at a convention, I ended up getting selected. So Nick, I'm one of the first people in history to see A Haunting in Connecticut.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I will say this though for A Haunting in Connecticut. I mean, it was scary too, but yeah, I agree with Josh. More of the documentary, because the thing about The Haunting in Connecticut was, as good as a film as it was, not all the information behind it, like the true story, was accurate. Like, for example, the house was never set on fire to begin with. It was never set, and then they dealt with more different type of entities than what you see in the film. There were no, most importantly, there was no box that they found that had eyelids in them. It didn't have any of that.
No. Let's see.
It was more negative entities, of anything, that actually were haunting the real house.
Right, Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3. Good movie, remake. Oh yeah, remake. No. The
I enjoyed the remake.
No,
Yes,
the remake has been forgotten, and it needs to stay that way.
Well, Jeremy may beg to differ, so because Jeremy and I already talked.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the remake of the Poltergeist. I thought it was more scary than the original one was.
Okay. Well, the original version did have some humor to it, so.
Oh, that's
so I guess that is.
Hey, you know what? I gotta show this to Billy.
I actually enjoyed the remake of Poltergeist.
That is right, Billy. The director of Sinister gave us the first Doctor Strange and the Black Phone. That's right.
Yeah.
Amityville Horror and The Omen for me, and The Shining. And it's so funny. All these movies these other people are bringing up are movies are places I've already done too on my show involving those movies. Yeah. It's funny.
Oh yeah.
The Shining, the original Shining, it was good, but it did not stay faithful to the book.
Yeah,
nowhere near faithful to the book.
No.
In fact, honestly, if you had slapped on another title to it, you would not even think that it was a Stephen King movie.
No, not at all.
No.
It's funny to think how that movie is played 24 hours a day at the Stanley Hotel. And I actually was thinking to myself, when they also made the sequel, Dr. Sleep, I thought they would have started playing that. Like, now they got two movies playing.
Yeah, I like Dr. Sleep.
No, they still stick to the original one.
Yeah, I actually like Dr. Sleep.
That was good.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep was good. And I liked how, even though they had to completely change the ending of the movie from the book so that they can bring the original movie up to where it's supposed to have been.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention too, now they're trying to make a third movie, but they're in.
That's a prequel, though.
It is, yeah. No, well, they're actually right now they're still trying to decide whether they're going to make this a sequel or a prequel, because they wanted to focus. They have two ideas in mind for the third film.
After you destroy the hotel, how do you continue on with that?
Well, from what I've seen, and this is basically what I saw from the information about what they said about the future of the franchise, if you will. What they're saying here is, it says that prior to the film's release, Warner Brothers had enough confidence in the film. Now, this is one of the two ideas. We're going to first talk about the prequel. They said it had enough confidence in the film that they hired Flanagan to script a prequel.
He's not even seeing it.
Wait, see what?
Hi,
oh my God! Oh, that's awesome!
Yep,
I love
Hi,
it.
Nicky. Aren't you going to say hello?
So they said that Warner Brothers had enough confidence in the film that they hired Flanagan to script a prequel with the working title Halloran, focusing on the character of Dick Halloran. But they say following the disappointing box office performance, the future is unclear. Now, Flanagan also confirmed, this is now with the sequel, however. Flanagan also confirmed that he was interested in directing a sequel focused on Abra Stone, and that he had asked King, who was open to the idea. So in other words, they wanted to focus on the the kid from Doctor Sleep.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, hey, Nick. Think right here would be. I think right here is gonna be a good stopping point.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
on for almost 3 hours, and
Yeah.
you know what? I got to say one thing quickly.
Sure.
It's funny how Brad had left. It's too bad he left when he did, because we were talking about all this stuff with the ring,
Yeah.
and he wasn't even there to watch it. Where the hell was Brad when we needed him?
Yeah, Brad,
You
wake
know,
up.
I was thinking about that myself. As soon as you started talking about Samara, the first person I thought of was Brad.
I'm going Dr. Sleep. Yes, we all need to get this sleep.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one thing I would like to show quickly, and I
Okay.
actually want to make this a surprise, Don. It's only like a minute or so later, but I'm actually going to show, because all this talk, I mean, I know we kind of, drifted off to different subjects, but
We kind of did,
still,
yeah.
in keeping with the title of It's, give me 1 second here. And I thought this would, hang on, I gotta get
see the trailer to it.
No, actually, something else. It's something much
Really?
different. Bear with me for just a second. I mean, normal. I would show the trailer, but I'm actually going to show something different here. It is involving. If the damn connection could work. If it gets,
Okay,
you know
so
what?
while Nick is working on that, Don, your opinion on the kid that played the young Bill in the movie?
Which one?
The young kid in the remake.
In the remake. I think he did fairly good with the role, but I don't know. I'm conflicted about which one is better. Yeah, just like how I feel between Seth Green and Finn Wolfhard as Richie.
To me, Jonathan Brandis did very well as Bill.
He did.
But the kid that they got to do the remake, I don't know. But they made up for it with James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy was great with the role as the adult Bill.
Okay, guys, ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share the screen. So give me one. Anyways, in a way of keeping the theme of tonight's episode, let's watch. Let's check this out quickly.
Okay. Let's see.
How about a little quick story of I Hate Clowns? How about it, Jeremy? Have you heard this one yet, Don?
No.
Okay, this is just really quickly. This is the book series I was talking about, the audio book series, and from Nightmare Soup. And Jeremy's just happens to be the first story. So you want to?
All right, let's hear it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, play it.
Oops, wait. I did not mean for that to happen.
Luckily, this is only a 3-minute clip, folks.
Yes, it is.
All right.
I don't want to go to Daniel's house, Mom. Max stood in the entryway. His mom had her keys in hand, ready to leave. What? All of a sudden, you don't want to go to your best friend's birthday party? He hesitated before answering. There's going to be a clown there. I hate clowns. Oh, honey, you'll be fine. Just go in the other room or something. Plus, you'd probably hurt Daniel's feelings if you didn't show up. Max just stood there, unsure of what to do. It's either Daniel's party, or you can help me run errands. And they're not fun errands. I have to go to the post office, and then I have to go get a dress for your aunt's wedding. You're going to be bored out of your mind. He sighed. Okay, fine. Take me to Daniel's. When Max arrived at the party, he said hello to his friends and gave Daniel his birthday gift. But he could really only think about one thing. Where was the clown? Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a colorful bag and slowly walked up to it. This must be the clown's stuff, he thought to himself. He opened the bag to reveal a myriad of clown accessories, makeup, and party favors. But what really caught his attention was the big red clown nose sitting right in the middle of the bag. He reasoned that if he took the clown's nose, maybe the clown wouldn't come out to perform. So he grabbed it from the bag and stuffed it in his pocket. Sure enough, Max was correct. The clown never appeared at the party, and he had a great time. That night, while he was asleep in his bed, he awoke to the sound of laughter outside the window. Max got up and slowly looked out to the street. There was a clown standing there on the sidewalk. A wretched, uneven smile cut across his face. In his left hand, he held the string of a single red balloon, which floated ominously by his side. There was something else in his right hand, but Max couldn't tell what it was. That's when he noticed blood running over his lips and dripping down his chin. He reached up to touch his face. His stomach dropped. He rushed to the bathroom and turned on the light. Max's nose was completely gone, and all that remained was a large, bloody hole.
Oh my god.
Look at the expression on Don's face.
Oh my god.
Wait, let's see. Wait, I got his wait. Oh no! If only I saw what his face was like. Well, I'll just rewatch it. I'll just rewatch it later.
Here, before we end this, I just want to put this comment up. Don, did you ever want to act? I actually have done some acting before. Like I've acted in like a high school short film. I've acted in. I've just been doing voice acting. My biggest thing I've done yet was this upcoming horror parody video where I actually did the voice of Hannibal Lecter. And and a few of my friends have asked me if I was any good at it, and I'm just like, I don't know. You tell me. I just love doing the voice acting more because of how all the different impressions I can do. I've got like so many different voices.
I love how everybody like. I'm actually freaking people out with that. But that's Jeremy. You actually probably freaked them out.
Yeah, good going, man.
Good job.
Nick, did you change your background?
No,
I did a while back, but it's still it's been the same this entire time.
No, because when we first started it, I thought it was red. Now it's orange.
No, it's still been
No,
the same.
it's red.
It's still red.
Yep.
It's the
All
it
right.
title.
yeah. So Nick, we gotta wrap this up. I think man, my
yeah, we
battery's
do.
dying.
It's been a while.
Oh, sorry, I just noticed my battery's dying.
Okay. Well, then to kind of bring this quickly to a close, like I've said before, tomorrow is going to be the last episode of season 1 of the Nick Files, which is just going to be opening up for ideas for season 2. I'm not going to make it a really long show. I might just only be on for about 45 minutes, but it'll be pretty quick. So, and then Jeremy, what do we got coming up for this Thursday and Friday?
Supernatural Talk is basically open mic night again. I talked to Eileen today. She's going to be about an hour late. There's a convention she's doing that day, and it ends the same time that we start the show. So she'll be about an hour late. And then on 13th Dimension, we're supposed to have Nick and Angie from the Bell Mansion. I'm waiting on them to confirm whether they're going to actually be able to do it or not. So I don't know what's going on with that show. And then Thursday, Friday, I am going to have an announcement on the last episode of 13th Dimension. And that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay, sweet nightmares, says Josh. So, all right, to wrap this up, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Had some great discussions here. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching.
Yeah, we did.
And
Jeremy, thank you for coming on.
So, yes, thank you, Jeremy, for joining us on this episode. It's been fun.
We'll definitely have you back on, of course.
Yes, it's been fun having you.
Killer clowns from outer space.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Yep. See ya. All right. So, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed. And next week, got to figure out what we're going to talk about next week.
What are we talking about next week, Don?
Yeah, we'll figure that out. So, be sure to tune in.
I know you had a few ideas before, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll pick one. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to tune in next week, same time at 8:30 p.m. Cannot wait to do this again next week. So,
enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.